Okay. We'll just... Okay, we're back. We are back and we are ready for more debates. So, for everyone joining us, we're here to do activism for the end of all suffering. To fight for a world where not even one individual is suffering terribly, where there's no possibility of suffering ever again. So, it's no good just making sure there is no suffering. You have to make sure there's no possibility of suffering. You have to put 100%, 1,000,000% into providing safety for life. How was the break? It was pretty good, thank you. Regenerated me a little bit, re-energized me. We were struggling a little bit with getting people in the queue last time, so let's hope we get more people willing to come and debate this time. So, what should we talk about in the meantime? Well, let's see. What are the worst forms of suffering that we really need to abolish? Well, for me, it would be those who have the highest intensity of suffering, right? That's the worst type, right? I think, really you can suffer from anything. You can suffer from cancer or a different illness or someone abusing you, whatever it is. I would say that really what matters ultimately is the intensity of that suffering. So it doesn't matter, what's causing it, it's just how bad it is. And I would say that, that intensity can be way worse than most people realize or give it credit for. So, most people, they come on here and say, oh, a stubbed toe isn't that bad. And that's kind of the limit of their imagination, basically, for suffering. But in the real world, it's a lot worse than that, a lot more severe than that. And it's crazy that people, when they imagine how bad suffering can be, there's a hard limit almost on where they're willing to go with that, right? Or what they're willing to admit it actually does exist. But being tortured by a torturer or by a disease or nerve pain, right? That's one of the worst ones. It can get really intense, really extreme. Are you pro unaliving? I'm guessing that means no. We need strictly peaceful activism to grow the movement until we can start running the world ethically and start ethically doing total extinction. So we need more people, we need smarter people, more intelligent people, not more angry, violent people. And suicide doesn't help with extinction either. Extinction has to be done as an active, powerful, organized way. Small individual acts are basically counterproductive to it. Okie dokie. Yes, still hoping for some people to join, so we can only wait for them to grow the sack. Why do you want total extinction? Mads is asking. Because it's the only right thing, because it ends all suffering. And nobody deserves to suffer. So it's not fair, it's not right, it's cruel, it's unsafe. The reality we have is it's just a meat grinder, a bloodbath, basically. All it's doing is generating harm, and it needs to be shut down. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, so you said suffering is unsafe, right?
Yeah.
Do you realize safety is irrelevant if you don't have life? Like
That's
what
not
is
correct.
safety
That's not
without life?
correct. That's not correct.
Like, what is safety without life?
Well, do you know why euthanasia is done? This question seems to just
In
blow
what
people's minds
context?
when I ask it, right? They're like, huh, that just
What
completely
context?
contradicts what you're saying, doesn't it?
Euthanasia in what context?
To end suffering, right? Well, that's why it's usually done. You're struggling, Clay. You're
Not
struggling big time.
necessarily.
Clay, you're struggling hard. You're done. Okay, you finished. You struggled massively there. Hello, how you doing, Victor?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Could you take the well? Could you just explain what you mean by extinction and where that comes from?
Yeah, it's about making sure that nobody is suffering terribly because that's the only fair thing, the only right thing.
Okay, could I talk about the euthanasia argument?
Hmm.
So, in my opinion, euthanasia is a good thing if it comes from a personal choice, right?
Well, usually it's not done by personal choice.
Well, in the medical way, it is.
No, usually euthanasia, in most cases, is not done by choice.
What cases, for example?
Animals, old people, disabled people.
Well, I think that's not legal in most countries.
You think euthanasia is illegal for animals?
For animals.
It's not. No, it's
No, not for
perfectly
animals.
legal.
I'm talking about
It's
humans.
perfectly legal. So what are you
Yeah,
talking?
for animals.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about, for example, if I would get in a car accident and I'd be paralyzed, I could only talk, or not even that, really. And I would say, yeah, I want to die right now because I'm not, I'm suffering, That's what I understand by euthanasia.
Victor, it sounds like you're struggling here. Do you have a point to make, any sort of argument, or it sounds like you're waffling?
Yeah, well, I think you can't decide for other people, Euthanasia is, I want to die and I have the
Euthanasia is
right.
already done for other people. Do you think it should be banned?
No, it should be allowed by personal choice. So if I say I want to die and I can't kill myself because I'm paralyzed, for
Victor,
example.
that's an insane opinion to take, Victor. Euthanasia is done to help those that can't help themselves. To ban that is to ban helping them when they can't help themselves. That's just silly. That's just a very silly argument. It just doesn't make any sense. So we're going to move on. Hello. Okay. Don't join the queue if you're just going to be quiet when you get brought up. Bringing on Max next. Max, are you going to load in? Let's see who else we got. We've got quite a few people in the queue now. That's good. So we can definitely get someone up. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
So I was really interested when I saw your video earlier today, and I was just wondering, is this something that you think should be brought up like politically, so it can be done, so you can get so that you can extinct the human race? Is it something that you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and how do you have a plan on how you want to execute it?
Yeah, we just have to grow the movement.
Okay. Do you think you can find enough people that just say, yeah, we shouldn't exist anymore? Humans, they suffer too much. We should just go extinct.
Oh, it's not just about humans. It's about animals and everything.
Okay, so you think mass extinction,
not mass, but total. Mass and total are different. So total.
Okay, so total extinction of all life on Earth.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds fun. Good luck. I'm not supporting you, but it's fun that you have something to work
You don't
towards.
care about suffering?
Of course, I care about suffering, but it's just
in what way do you care?
Life.
How much do you care?
How much I care is not that I go around think about it every day.
No, you
but
don't
when
care
I
very
suffer
much.
or when
You don't
people
really care.
suffer,
You don't really care,
of course I care
How much do you care?
about people.
How much do you care?
Well,
Not you don't. You don't care.
of course I
You
care
can't
about
even
human
tell us
suffering.
how much you can't even tell us how much you care.
Yeah, but there's not
because
a
it's a
scale.
lie.
There's
Because
not
it's
a
a
scale.
lie, Linus. It's a lie. You don't actually care. You obviously don't care. You can't even begin to answer that question. It terrifies you because it's to answer that question. It's a probe on the truth, right?
Hello?
Hello, how you doing?
Okay, so what you're saying is that if 99% of humans enjoy their life, but 1% is suffering, then everybody should go extinct.
Even less than 1%. Yeah.
But if most people enjoy their life, why should everybody go extinct just because one person doesn't, enjoy?
Because it's not fair.
But what do you mean? If most people enjoy their life,
Do you know what fair means?
yeah, I know what fair means.
So why did you ask? What do you mean?
No, but like, is
No,
it fair?
I'm asking you a
Then
question.
No,
I'm
no.
asking you a
Then I
question.
can
You're
ask you
dodging.
something.
You're dodging. You're evading.
No, is it fair
You're dodging.
that 99%
You're
of people
struggling.
will go extinct just because 1% doesn't enjoy their life? Is that fair?
Yes.
Because 1%
absolutely.
suffer, is that fair to 99%
Yes.
of
yes.
everybody else?
Yes.
But that's just a stupid argument.
Well, no, that's you don't understand what fairness is then.
So, for example, I enjoy my life. Is it fair to me that I should go extinct just because you don't, because you suffer?
Yes.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Well, is it fair to have a system where some are suffering and some aren't? No, obviously not. So yeah, it does make sense.
But, just because, some people are poor, some people have a better life. But it's not fair that everybody should just fucking die. How does that make any sense?
Why not?
Because, life is beautiful and like I enjoy my life.
But when you say life is beautiful, who does that apply to?
Just to life in general.
Well, so that's
Like
irrelevant
being born,
to the argument.
like,
you want to bring a real argument here, Lucas? You're
Like
struggling.
being born into this world is like an amazing thing. I don't
But
know
for
why.
who? For who?
Just to experience life.
Lucas, you're dodging questions. You're done. You're finished. Okay, thank you. Look, if you can't answer simple questions, then obviously you can't defend your position.
Hey!
Hello, how you
bro.
doing?
Hello, brother. So you think everyone should be gone?
Yeah.
Why?
So because it's not fair, right? To have all the suffering.
Yeah, but why don't you start with yourself?
Because that would do nothing, right?
So you need to kill everyone around you and then yourself.
Well, what would it achieve for everyone else if I did that?
Like not having
No,
a stupid
nothing,
life,
right?
maybe?
So it's a silly thing. It's a silly suggestion.
Ooh, get roasted.
What? You're getting roasted.
No, I'm from Europe. I'm not from Brazil, bro. Duh.
Okay. Well,
Oh, you scared, you scared.
thank you for trolling. We're going to move on to someone else now. Corey coming up next. And people wonder why I kick people out. Can you imagine if I never kicked anyone out? It would just be terrible. It would be like the worst show ever. Bro was scared. Wow. Okay. So the level of delusion some people have when they get wrecked on the show. Like the defense mechanisms really come out.
Hello there, James. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing quite well. I just have a very important thing I gotta tell you.
Okay.
I joined your Discord server, and one of your admins, Bob, discriminated against me for being Muslim. He was like, "We don't allow Muslims."
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Why not?
Because ending suffering is for rational people to be doing only, not people
Well,
that believe in
exactly.
magic
I'm
and
not there to preach. I'm trying to
tales.
join the movement.
But the thing is that religion is one of the biggest indicators of irrationality. So it's a big red flag, basically.
Well, still, I'm very pro-extinction, so why not? Why not?
Well, great. Then you should start doing activism for it.
Probably. Well, you have a great day. Not much help.
Well, yeah, the only help for the sufferers is activism. So not much help. Yeah, well, go back to the Quran. Maybe that will be more helpful. Yeah, you were banned for a good reason, obviously. Okay, bringing on the next person. Hello, how you doing?
Well, greetings. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so you just brought this argument, right? That someone said if 99% of people enjoy their life and 1% don't, right? Then we all should die. Yeah, you said it's going to be unfair, right?
Yeah.
Wait, how is that going to be unfair? Can I explain this model?
So, yeah, if someone is being tortured then it's unfair, right? We shouldn't make it so that some have to be tortured so that some can have fun. That's obviously unfair.
Okay, so you're saying it is unfair for some people to have suffering and some people not have suffering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, right? So how we should look at the model is going to be this. Wouldn't that just be more reasonable to just get rid of the people who are suffering, right?
No, it doesn't work
But
like that.
why not?
Because it's not the people suffering aren't the problem. It's the environment, right? And the risk of suffering. So even if you get rid of everyone that's suffering, everyone who isn't suffering will just go on to suffer. So
Yeah, and when they suffer, you just get rid of them.
but it doesn't. That's not a realistic solution, though. You can't actually
How's
just get rid
that
of
not
everyone.
realistic? How's that not realistic?
Because, like, what are you going to do about children in dungeons, right? You can't just get rid of them, right? There's no way to do that.
Yeah. So what's the problem?
Well, what's the problem with children in dungeons being abused?
Well, being
Is
abused?
that really what you're asking?
No, I didn't understand that correctly.
Well, you said, what's the problem with children in dungeons?
No, you didn't say abused. You just said dungeons.
So if they're in dungeons, then you assume they're having a good time.
Dungeons is not necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, Thomas, thank you so much for that wonderful argument. Wonderful argument. What fantastic! What a great performance there, Thomas. Hello, how you doing?
Hello guys, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, so total extinction, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so how do you plan to do that?
By growing the movement.
So is it applicable if you understand human nature? Like suffering is a part of life, and if you go back to 20,000 years, if you go back to 20,000 years, life was really miserable and full of suffering. But
It
it's
still
getting
is.
better.
It's still that way. It hasn't changed.
But it's getting better. The average
No,
human
not
being
for
live a
most of
better
the
life.
No. For most of the population on this planet, life is not getting better, and that's animals in nature who take up over 99% of the population.
Yeah, but relatively speaking, it's getting better, right?
Yeah, but for the majority of the population, it's not getting better.
I'm saying for the majority of the population.
We don't care about the
there is-
minority, okay?
Yeah,
Forget the
I
minority.
understand that.
Forget the
Yeah.
minority. Forget them.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand that. But the average person, like from 20,000 years ago, has a
Robert,
better
okay,
medicine.
sounds like you just don't understand what's going on here. Okay, let's move on. Eliza coming up next. Hello, how you doing?
Oh my god, you let me join. Hey, thanks. I was gonna say I literally agree with everything that you say, but when did it start for you? Because the way that you think, I've literally only been thinking like this probably in the past 2 years.
Yeah, so I started thinking about, the world and that it needs to change and all this in around 2019. And then it was only a year ago that the movement reached out to me and explained that they're trying to end all suffering and that we can do it and that we should do it. It's the only right thing. And I pretty much immediately agreed and said, great, how can I help?
So there wasn't any specific event, it was just because they reached out to you.
Yeah, had they not reached out to me, I probably, I don't know, maybe I would have seen it eventually, but had I never seen anything about extinction, maybe I wouldn't have, started the movement myself, no.
Ooh, so when you say extinction, right, do you mean like kill everyone, or what do you mean by that? Or just, I don't know.
You have to forcefully cause total extinction, forcefully provide safety from suffering, right? In the same way that we have a police force, we have to use police force to defend life and to protect it.
You know what? I do agree with you. I think that is a bit extreme. Like, if it was my
Well, suffering is
delusional
extreme.
mind- Agreed. I would say maybe people just stop having children. Like, there's too many
doesn't
people.
work. That doesn't work, right? Animals can't just stop having kids. Most people can't stop having kids. So, we've been programmed by nature to have kids. So most people are never going to agree to that.
Oh, okay. That's all I had to say. I had to back you up because people were hating on you, but I support you. I'm gonna go now. Sorry, I don't know how to end. I don't know how to end conversations.
It's all right. Nobody does. I always have to kick people out. But yeah, thank you for coming up, and feel free to join again if you have any more questions. James, do you know of Danny Shine? Only a little bit. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. Oh, so basically, your entire idea is to end the whole human race and every animal race as well, yeah?
Yeah.
So, don't you think you just sound like a certain someone from, like, the 1900s? Because, to be honest, like, I don't really understand.
Who are you talking about? Who
do you think I'm talking about? You with all your knowledge that you seem to think you possess.
I can't think of anyone who said we should do animal extinction. No,
I can think of somebody who tried to
nobody comes to mind.
Cause a certain type of extinction, but
no,
it sounds an awful lot like him.
Who?
I don't know if you want to get your live banned, but
no, nobody has advocated for extinction before. You're lying.
No. Extinction of a certain type of race, but you're trying to extinct.
Well,
the whole
that wouldn't be
world.
extinction. That would be genocide. So extinction is the species, not a race.
You can nitpick and stuff, but like if your idea.
Well, no, we should differentiate, right? And just because that annoys you, because you're trying to straw man, yeah, well, we don't care. You're done. You're finished. Moving on to another guest. John is coming up next. Hello. Okay, thank you for that little interlude. It's always nice for people to have a little change of pace with a bit of music. Continuing on to our next guest. Who have we got next? Bringing somebody up now. And loading them in. Hello, how you doing? Hello, how you doing? Hello. Okay, perhaps they went extinct. Who knows? All right, trying to get someone else up next. Got plenty of people in the queue. The queue is doing really well right now. So no chance of silence and monologues. Just debates coming up. More debates, more discussions coming right at you here on the Extinction Zone. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. First of all, I want to say your Spanish is quite good. As a Spaniard, I was impressed by your Spanish TikTok.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask you, why do you think suffering is necessarily bad? What do you base your framework on?
So suffering is bad for those who experience it, and that's enough to make it bad.
Is it though?
Yeah, because if it's bad for them, then it's bad, right? Good and bad only exists when you have potential life in the mix, basically, as a contrast, essentially, right? If you have just rocks, then good and bad has no meaning, right?
I mean, but how many times, for example, have you heard someone who's gone through like 4 years of horrible cancer, they've made it through, and then they've said that thing has made them like appreciate life in a way that they would have never like thought about it or enjoyed it?
Well, the thing is that we should think about those who do suffer terribly, not those who are lucky to not suffer.
So you're not like proponing total extinction to everyone, just to those who are suffering.
The only way to end all suffering is total extinction.
What if I don't suffer though?
Well, you're still at risk of suffering, so you could suffer tomorrow.
Yeah, but what if I want to go through that suffering? Because you're saying it depends on the person. So if I consider that suffering for me to be something good, or honest,
the thing is that most people are not capable of making correct or proper or fully informed decisions on these things.
Oh, okay. So here your initial argument doesn't stand up because you were saying it depends on the person.
What depends on the person?
Like initially when I asked you like why is suffering bad, you told me because people like perceive suffering as something bad.
No, I never said
But now you're telling me we
I never
can't
said
trust
that.
people.
I never said that.
What did you say then?
Well, you're just strawmanning, right? I never said suffering is bad because it's perceived as bad.
Then what was you? Then can you like restate
It doesn't have to
why
be
suffering is
perceived as bad for it to be bad. Okay? So, someone, an animal could be incapable of understanding good and bad, and it can still suffer, right?
Yeah, but we're talking about humans here.
Why? Why should we ignore animals, the largest population on the planet?
I mean, first of all, I don't think animals have the consciousness of a human to begin with.
You
so
don't think animals suffer?
I know they do suffer, but I don't know if we can make the same moral distinctions that we can with humans.
But we already do that. We already, make decisions about animals.
I mean, to a certain extent, but you're not using it to the same extent, because when you think about animal suffering, you're thinking about animals that are being tortured. When you think about human suffering, you're generally just like saying anyone who's alive.
No, I never said that. You're just strawmanning again.
So you're basically against
Lex, we're not having a real conversation here because you are only capable of attacking positions which I don't hold. So you're not capable of actually engaging with the real arguments here because they're just beyond your ability to engage with. They're way too beyond your intelligence, essentially. So yeah, pretty much every single thing you said was just a complete straw man. Never said it. I never said those words ever. Hello, how you doing? Okay, no, you must have joined by accident, I'm guessing. Moving on, we have more people in the queue. I'm going to try and bring up Corey again. Corey, hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, how you doing?
Okay, I'm doing very good. How about you? That's some good too. I wanted to ask you a question about why do you think that making people stop reproducing is not the correct way to cause total extinction?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, euthanasia, extinction, that prevents reproduction.
Forceful euthanasia provided by government support, okay. I wanted to say first of all, I support your movement. I'm happy to see that things are changing. Someone is trying to do something about this. And another thing is that actually, no, there is no other thing. You can go to the next person. See you, man. Thank you for this.
Okay, thank you, Corey. All right, people are saying, James, he wasn't strawmanning. Yeah, he was. And James, you don't know what a strawman is. Literally every single position he tried to argue against was one that didn't exist, right? One that was made of straw, one that was easier to work with, even though it wasn't accurate whatsoever. That's what a strawman is. It's very sad how many people in the chat clearly don't understand what a strawman is. Okay, and if you want to debate me face to face on strawmanning, then join the queue, right? Don't say it in the chat, say it to my face. Hello, how you doing? Hello. Okay, Mr. Cookie, thank you for joining us. See, even he couldn't debate against extinction. He was just petrified in silence, speechless. Okay, hello, how you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, how you doing? Do you have any questions for us? Try not to move on to a different app, otherwise you get muted, basically.
Oh, yeah, my bad. So, I was reading the FAQ and I had a couple of questions, if that was okay.
Yeah.
So, about the vegan point specifically, it says that we accept vegans into the movement, but only if they acknowledge that they cause worse suffering. What would that worse suffering be?
Yeah, so vegans discriminate against wild animals by ignoring them, not caring about their suffering, and actually thinking that their suffering is good and that it's somehow better than farmed animal suffering. So a vegan world would have no deforestation, it would have no mining operations, it would essentially have way, way, way more habitat for wild animals to suffer on, and they suffer worse than farmed animals and in greater numbers as well. And vegan agriculture takes up only 1/5 of the space that animal agriculture takes up. So again, that's massively reducing space and giving it back to wild animals who will suffer in greater numbers and with worse suffering.
So you said that wild animals suffer worse than factory farmed. Is that right?
Yeah.
How so? Because I wouldn't agree. Because in the UK, pigs get like gassed to death a lot. I would
That's
argue.
really not that bad.
Is it not?
Yeah, it's really not that bad.
Okay, so how would being gassed to death be better than dying a death in the wild?
Oh, it's way better. Like I would choose it 100% of the time, because you're not going to be eaten alive. You're not going to be dying a slow and painful, horrible death. Euthanasia is infinitely better than a natural death, and every single wild animal will have a natural death, whereas most, hopefully most farmed animals, maybe not all of them, will have euthanasia, which is much nicer.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming up. Yeah, it's vegans will teach you that wild animal suffering is a good thing, but farmed animal suffering is a bad thing. It doesn't make any sense, right? It's another form of discrimination, and the pro-extinction movement is against all forms of discrimination. It says we should care about every life form, no matter what species, no matter what race. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I just wanted to say that I really, really, really liked your manifesto, and I think it changed my life, and I think you're so hot.
Okay, thank you. Consider joining the movement, become an activist, join through the Discord, link is on my profile, and start making videos and doing activism. Not that I've encouraged this, but it just so happens that I have a fan club now, and people are making edits of me, and they're all like 18-year-old girls or non-binary people, and they're Zoomers, they're teenagers, and they're obsessed with me for some reason. So if you want to join them and start making videos which do actually help get the message out there and grow the movement, then join them. Join the Discord.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm just wondering how exactly you plan, like, in a perfect world, how would this be done?
So, well, we don't live in a perfect world, but okay. In a perfect world,
Yeah.
we would grow the movement until we have enough people to start running the world, basically, and run the world
Okay.
ethically. And then we do animal extinction while removing our dependence on them. We research how life develops and how to prevent it developing, and try and do that for as much of the universe as possible. And only once we've fulfilled our moral obligation and there's nothing else we can do, that's when we make humanity go extinct. So we may be able to do that a lot sooner if we can pass on the job to AI and robots, and they can continue sterilizing the universe for billions of years after we've gone.
Okay, so, so like, is there like, so you do the animals first, you'd get rid of the animals. Is there a reason why the animals have to go first?
Yeah, because if humanity goes extinct first, we won't be able to help the animals.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you get rid of the animals, and then who do you decide who goes first? Like, is it based on age? Like, do we do like the oldest goes first and then work our way down? Like, what is it?
It's hard to say, really. Maybe it'll all be at once, or maybe it will be phased. It's hard to say at this time, what the needs are. But it's going to depend on, is humanity needed? How many humans are needed? And if there's just no need for humanity at all, then we'll just wipe it out, basically, as fast as possible.
And where would you rank on that? Like, would you be the last one to go?
No idea. I mean, realistically, if we've got to do animals and then humans, and so this will probably all be hundreds of years from now. And so, it's probably going to be robots carrying out the extinction at that point, right? Maybe we'll all be in our houses, we've got robot servants, and then Order 66 comes through, and then your robot turns on you, basically. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you come about this like idea? Because I've never heard anyone say anything like this before. Certainly not on TikTok.
So the movement started 3 or 4 years ago. I joined 12 months ago, and it's been growing globally.
Oh, so you didn't make this. This is people actually believe like that this should be done.
Oh yeah, there's loads of people. We're all in the same organization, the same
What do you call
specific,
yourselves?
the pro-extinction movement.
Okay. But okay.
AKA extinctionists, extinctionism.
So if somebody was, so if I were to say to you right now, "Oh, I hate extinctionists," I'd be practicing extinctionism because I was being like, I'm being
So you got pro-lifers, and then you got extinctionists, basically. So
yeah, but
you don't want to be on
sexism
this
and you
side.
have like racism and like extinctionism. Is that a thing?
I guess you could say it's an ideology. Yeah.
Okay. And why do you want to do this? I know it's about suffering. What do you mean by that?
What, suffering? What is suffering?
Yeah. No, I know what suffering is. I mean, what do you mean by? So you think that no suffering is good for the world?
Yeah, I mean, the world doesn't have feelings, right? We only have individuals to care for. So, the planet doesn't have feelings or needs. The ones living on it do. And it's unfair to allow so much suffering. So a fair world, a right world, an ethical world is one where there's no suffering.
I mean, what about the people who don't suffer? Would you let them live or?
And no, because it's not fair.
Okay, what's not fair?
And it's also not okay for them either. So, well, firstly, it's not fair to just let some suffer terribly so that others can have fun. And secondly, even the ones having fun, they're still in unlimited risk of suffering, where it can become so bad that they would have been better off not being born. So, nature programmed animals and humans to just disregard that risk, even though actually the rational position would be to say, yes, I'm better off not existing instead of being in unlimited danger for very little reward, basically.
So what do you like? What's the threshold for like what suffering is in your eyes? What would that be?
Well, there is no threshold that you can actually place on reality.
So
In
it's
fact,
any kind of
in fact,
negative
it's the
feeling.
opposite. There's unlimited risk of suffering. So there's no threshold that you can actually place on it. You can't limit it. That would only be in your imagination.
But if there's unlimited risk of suffering, is there not also unlimited risk of happiness?
No, you can suffer much more than you can be happy.
Okay. By threshold, I meant like, what do you define as suffering? Like, what is suffering to you? Like,
Negative
is it just
experience.
having a bad day?
It's
like
just
a bad
any
week?
negative experience.
So if I stubbed my toe and it really hurt, that's enough
suffering.
for me to die.
Well, no, I never said that.
So what is enough for somebody that you think
But
that
again,
okay,
you can't limit it to a stubbed toe. So that's not a real thing, right? It's either unlimited or it's extinction.
Okay, I'm just because before you said there's people who are suffering so much that it's better if they hadn't been born. What people?
You don't think they exist?
Could you like give me like an example?
Someone with depression, a baby that suffers terribly and dies, someone that's been born into a child abuser's basement and then gets murdered. There's lots of examples. Someone with dementia and suffering in a care home.
Okay, but I mean, and then this goes into the argument for euthanasia when you get to dementia in a care home or a baby who's been ill since
because
the baby was
prevention
born.
is infinitely more ethical and realistic than treatment. Right?
But you're
Treatment
not-
doesn't help everyone, and it doesn't help prevent any suffering.
But if you want to get rid of everyone, you're not preventing that. Are you going to let everybody
Preventing
on
what?
Earth today die
Not-
out naturally?
No, it has to be done as fast as possible to protect everyone from suffering.
So that is prevention then.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, it's not prevention then because it could have already happened.
What do you mean?
Well, you said it's euthanizing someone isn't preventative, but neither
No,
is
I'm
if
saying
they've
that
already...
we can't let life keep suffering and just euthanize it every now and then. That's not good enough.
I mean, it's not really making much sense to me because, well, because you're basically saying that anybody who's born with like a bad start in life or anybody who has suffered for a period of time in their life has no life worth living.
I never said that.
Okay, so what are you saying?
Well,
so why do you want to kill people who have suffered?
No, it's about guaranteeing that no one will suffer terribly ever again, and that's it, right? Everyone is in unacceptable danger right now, and only the
What
lucky
danger?
ones benefit. So there's all sorts of dangers, right? You could get hit by a car tomorrow and end up with brain damage and chronic pain and no access to euthanasia.
Okay.
No?
I just don't. It doesn't justify it for me. It doesn't
Why not?
justify
What? So you
eliminating
think that
everyone.
just unlimited suffering is justifiable?
Unlimited suffering you're
Yes. So you
when
don't.
you're
You're just suffering blind. You would just never consider it ever.
I guess like it's life. You suffer, but also there's some like happy points in life. You
Saying
just have to
it's
carry on.
life is like saying I'm not intelligent enough to have an opinion on this.
It's not really though, because
It is because it's literally saying nothing.
well, no, because if you're born into this world, then there's unlimited potential for unlimited amount of things to happen, and they could be negative and they could be positive, and they'll both be negative and positive.
So you don't care if some suffer terribly.
Of course, I care if some people suffer terribly.
And how much do you care?
I care enough to not want them to be suffering terribly, but I wouldn't care.
But you don't care enough to actually stop them from suffering.
I don't care enough to kill them.
So you don't care enough to make them safe.
I don't care enough to kill them.
So you don't. So so you want them to keep suffering, basically.
I don't want to kill them.
So
If they want to make that choice for
euthanasia? Are
themselves,
you against euthanasia?
if
Do
they-
you think euthanasia should be banned?
I don't agree with euthanasia in most cases. No, if it's the person's
You
choice,
really are terrible, aren't you?
if it's the person's choice and they want to take a pill and die, then that's fine. But I don't think that the state should be euthanizing. For
So when
example,
someone's incapable of making that decision, but it's very obvious that it should be done, you would keep them suffering.
if that's their
All right, that's
choice,
it. You're done. You're finished. Okay, we've heard enough of your garbage opinions. They're terrible. All right, moving on. Let's see who we've got next. Hello, Levi. Hello again. How you doing?
Hi. I last time I argued with you about the animals. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was bad.
Yeah, but you convinced me on that point that also the animals should die because they also suffer, and now I realize I can't understand why I didn't see that. But I have another point. I actually have a question first. Do you want to kill everybody and everyone because there is more suffering than joy, or not that point?
No, extinction is more about making sure it's having a zero tolerance policy on suffering, right? It's saying safety first, fairness first, and that's the ultimate form of caring for life, is making sure that it's not suffering terribly.
But if we could, instead of just kill everyone, create a world where there is less suffering, even way less suffering,
So
than
how much suffering?
joy.
How much suffering is acceptable?
I can't like give you an exactly percentage, but I think that if there is more joy, then
So
it's
if
better.
49% are suffering, then we just let them suffer. We ignore it.
But like 49, no, misschien.
Okay,
oh,
so
wait.
48% people are screaming in pain, then we ignore it.
No, take 10 and
47
90.
Okay, 47%.
Take 10 and 90.
46%.
10 and 90. No, okay.
Okay, so 10% are screaming in pain, that's when we ignore it.
If the rest is just if there's more joy than suffering,
Okay,
isn't that a good world?
Okay, so if 9 people are abusing a child in a gang circle situation, that's okay.
No, of course not.
But what if they're enjoying it?
That's a good point. But just my
Well,
point.
well, let's answer that point. Let's not skip over, right? So
Okay.
if 9 out of 10 people, they're all doing a bukkake or something on this child, it's okay as long as most of the people in the room enjoy it. Then it's okay.
Fuck. No, of course not.
Why not?
No. Yeah, because no, I give you. You're correct, but Damn, you're really good in like giving metaphors. But no, I have a question. Don't you think it's better to try to accomplish a world with the least amount of suffering instead of just a world with no suffering but also no joy and
No,
just
because
nothing?
it's the same thing, right? Because you can't ethically do that. You're saying we should look away from suffering and allow it. That's not ethical, right? You can't do that. To say that we should essentially rely on the suffering of others for our pleasure, no, that's just not an acceptable thing. That's basically the definition of evil.
But take if 99 people are having an amazing life,
So
they're just happy all the
99
time.
people. So 99 people are now abusing one child, and now it's okay because it's 99.
No, but I ask you that question. Do you think if 99 people have a perfect life, but there's one person suffering, that situation would better not exist?
Better not exist, yeah. Absolutely.
But
The thing is, they don't need that pleasure, right? They don't need to exist. They don't need to be happy. It's just completely worthless. It's optional. It's just garbage, right? Throw it in the bin. But safety from suffering is absolutely necessary. And the only way that you can really fully understand this is if you actually care about those life forms. Okay, so if you care about the 100 people, and you also care about, the one who is being tortured horrifically, you'll understand that, yeah, oh my God, that's unacceptable. We have to help them. And the rest of them, they don't need to exist, right? But that one does need to be safe from insanely extreme levels of suffering.
okay, I'm starting to understand, but not in a metaphor. But can you just answer why it is better to have nothing instead of more joy than suffering?
Because firstly, that's not realistic, right? You're fantasizing about a dream situation where it feels like it just reaches the threshold of emotional comfort, right? But realistically, unless you have a zero tolerance policy on suffering, then you're never going to actually deal with it responsibly. You're always going to ignore it, not care about it, allow it, cause it, right? So you can't say, I'm going to ethically not care about suffering. It just doesn't work, right? You have to have a zero tolerance policy on, extreme levels of suffering. Otherwise, you have infinite acceptance of it. You just simply don't care about it.
Okay, yeah, no, valid. And can I just give you a quick tip? I don't if that is that a word in English, because I'm not it's not my mother language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If people are arguing with you and they're like me, just trying to understand, sometimes you're like be really angry and rage baiting, but they're just trying to understand, and you just ban them. Like just like me, convince them and not make them angry, because then they'll never join this cause.
Yeah, the problem is that people who really struggle to understand this, they don't have the capacity to understand it. So yeah, I could spend an extra 10, 20 minutes, talking them through it, but there's just going to be like a 1,000 insane things that they're going to say. It's going to be like just one stupid thing after another.
Just not worth the wait.
It's like educating someone from birth, basically. It's like, well, I don't have time to do that, right? And also, it seems, to the best of our experience, that you can't convince them. So it is about brain capacity, the capacity for empathy and rationality, and this simply goes beyond what most people are capable of.
Mm-hmm. But then, how do you think you can achieve this goal of total extinction?
Because there are people out there who do have the capacity, who do agree to it, and they're joining the movement every day. And we're also genetically getting more extinctionists out there. Our movement is donating sperm.
Like genetically?
Yeah.
Explain, please.
Yeah, so we're donating sperm so that we can have thousands of children 20 years from now. Not all of them, but potentially some of them will grow up to be activists.
Oh, and you think if you educate them from birth with this idea that they will...
No. So, I wasn't educated from birth with this idea, but it's about the genetic capacity. So when you learn about it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, obviously. Of course it makes sense.
Yeah, okay. No, and one more thing. I think you always answer just like how are you going to achieve it? Science. Yeah, and you also said Darnet a few moments ago. Yeah, sorry, I'm using Dutch words. But a few moments ago, you also said about the idea of a world with the least amount of suffering. That is like really, really hard to achieve and almost impossible. But isn't total extinction what you want also the same thing and really, really hard to achieve and almost impossible?
No, not at all. So we've already made several species of animals go extinct without even trying. And that was like 200 years ago, right? So extinction is something we've always done. Euthanasia has always existed, but providing, essentially creating omniscience, that's essentially the most unrealistic thing possible, right? Certainty of safety requires omniscience. So that's the most unrealistic, the most difficult thing, whereas extinction is basically the easiest thing in the world, right? Ending a life has always been the easiest thing.
Yeah, but just ending all life, because even like in Chernobyl, there's still like organisms that grow from the radiation.
So nuclear bombs will not do extinction. We have to use better methods than that.
But you don't know which those methods are yet.
Yeah, it's not important to know that, right? Extinctionists understand that we'll be able to find a way. It'll actually be quite easy. The difficult part is just getting enough people on board into the movement. Everything after that will be easy.
Yeah. And how can I like convince people to join this cause? Because I don't know, if I explain this idea and try to convince people, I always get like stuck, but you can just make people agree so good. Like how?
So when I joined the movement, it took me like 3 months to learn everything about it. And I had loads of stupid questions at the start, right? So, Steve was my mentor. He's the person that made the movement. And, I often felt embarrassed and afraid to ask him questions because I thought, this is a silly question. He's going to get annoyed at me if I ask this. And yeah, it took me a few months to actually get the confidence, to get the experience. And I'm still improving my knowledge and way of thinking about extinction. So it's a journey, and you do get better and better.
Okay, yeah, I see that other people in the chat want to talk, so I'm gonna go. But good talk.
Yeah, thank you, Levi. And yes, you do have a good point that maybe I should be more patient with certain people. But the thing is that the vast majority are going to be time wasters. They are going to be trolls. They are going to tell me to unalive myself, right? Most people are just beyond help. Okay, so yes, when someone does show a chance of understanding, we should be more patient with them, and yes, we should understand that they will ask seemingly stupid questions. We should be patient. Jonah, hello, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so I have a question. Would you also want your family to go extinct, like they would die?
Yeah, nobody should be in unlimited risk of danger. Safety is a good thing, right? So we should absolutely celebrate safety. We should value it, and we should strive towards it.
But you would sacrifice your family for it.
Well, the thing is that again, providing safety, the certainty of safety of non-existence is a good thing, right? Being in unlimited danger for very little reward is an infinitely bad thing.
But what do you mean by safety? So, according to you, safety is when everyone is extinct. And by the way, also just to make it
so
clear,
I mean,
you mean just humans, by the way.
Say again?
Humans, good. By the way, to make it clear, you mean that only humans would go extinct, right?
No, animals too, all life.
Oh, okay. Okay, then, so you basically think it's better to have nothing alive than there also be suffering.
It's better to make sure that nobody is suffering, right? That's the only fair thing to do, the only right thing to do, the only ethical thing to do is to prioritize safety first and making sure that it's a fair world where we don't allow some to suffer terribly so that others can have fun. That's not fair.
But then, what would there be to the world? What would there be to life? Or yeah, there's no life. So what would be the purpose of anything?
Well, safety and prevention of suffering.
Okay, but don't you think that like people think it's worth like that there is suffering and also that they eventually have to suffer or have to suffer something in life?
Nine.
So like for the experience of life.
But that's only, the vast majority of life doesn't get anything like that. Most animals in nature are eaten alive as babies. And it's, the vast majority of life is not benefiting from suffering.
Okay, but why are you so negative about suffering? Because I know it's pain, but
well, you should go and face the worst suffering possible, and then we'll see if you still think it's confusing why people have a bad perspective on suffering.
Okay, but would you say like anything that hurts is suffering? So also, for example, like animals hunting animals eating each other, also suffering?
Yeah, of course. Would you want to be eaten alive?
No, but okay. And also, I have a question. How would you do this in practice? Like, how would you make this happen?
So we have to grow the movement until we have enough people to start running the world ethically, start doing animal extinction, remove our dependence on them, and try and sterilize as much of the universe as possible. And then we make humanity go extinct forcefully. We may be able to pass the job on to AI and robots who can continue sterilizing the world and the universe for billions of years to come, and we can rest in peace in the meantime.
Okay. But what if it fails? Like, imagine we let the robots do the rest and they just fail along the way, and half of the population of humans and animals is dead, and then the ecosystem isn't going right again. I don't know how to explain it in English, but
we would just try again. We would try again.
But we would be dead. The robots have the humanity is already dead. So there's only some species left.
Well, we would do animals before humans. That's the guarantee, right? We can't go extinct before animals.
At a certain point, when certain species are dead, we couldn't live anymore.
Yeah, so we need to replace our dependency on them with science.
Okay. No. Okay. Good point. And do you enjoy your life?
Why do you ask?
Because you really want, because you have this opinion, and maybe I thought because I really enjoy life, and I think this may be a crazy take, but I think it's worth that people that is suffering just to experience life.
So you think it's fine if someone is screaming in pain, you can ignore them and get back to your Netflix and pizza?
I don't really ignore it, but I can...
Well, saying that we should allow it is ignoring it, right?
Maybe. I think it's worth...
I mean, what's the alternative? To allow it and then just watch it and enjoy it while watching it?
Have more things, more safety, more authority, and just make sure.
So just ignore those who are suffering then.
No, I say we help them more.
No, but the point is, Jonah, is that you're only going to help the lucky ones, and the unlucky ones are going to be beyond help, right? So you are saying we should ignore those ones and let them suffer.
That might be, but I think
it's... So yeah, you're saying we should just ignore the ones who suffer and just get on with our selfish lives.
No, I think...
Yes. How is that not what I'm saying?
This is a debate. Let me speak. The thing is, I think it's really the plan is pretty unrealistic, and so is my plan. But I think my plan is more realistic. We have more resources,
Well,
and
Jonah, your plan isn't rational. It's not coherent. It's not consistent. We've poked a lot of holes in it already. You know, you're contradicting yourself. It's not something anyone should really have any faith in.
okay, but I also don't think that's your plan, because
How?
if we let you said along the way at a certain point we have robots do the work. If we're like, how would we make sure that that even could happen? How would you sure that they just don't break down or something goes
Well,
wrong?
if we can't rely on the robots, then we will have to continue ourselves.
Okay, and also, what did you say again? Like how we're gonna kill them?
Euthanasia.
Okay. And there we also don't have unlimited of that in the world.
Well, we can make more.
I don't know, because the natural resources that we make it of can if it's for every single
Jonah,
organ.
you really don't think there's enough resources on the planet? Come on, give me a break.
No, because. But don't you think? Yeah, no.
Jonah, thank you for coming on. I really don't think you had any serious arguments there. You seemed very shallow, like you really hadn't thought this through very well. So we're going to move on to someone else. Anda Yukas. No? Okay. Let's see who's next. Jungelion. Oh, Anda Yukas, hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello. So my question is, why does suffering have priority over happiness?
But well, it's obvious, isn't it? You know, the sufferers need help, whereas happiness isn't morally urgent, right? Helping someone that's suffering, that's morally urgent. Helping someone be happy, that's nowhere near as urgent.
Okay, but like, why do victims matter more than the billions of people who value their lives?
Because it's not fair.
Or if
do you think we should try and make a world where there's nobody begging for death? Or do you think we should just not worry about that?
So you think if nobody would be in the world, it would be better?
Well, yeah, there would be nobody, living a life where they would have been better off not being born.
But it would be better for who? The people
but for those who would suffer a life of pure hell. Obviously. That should be obvious, right? If you really struggle to understand that euthanasia can be helpful, that extinction would be helpful, then there is something very wrong with you, right? If the existence of those who would have been better off not being born is just illusory to you, then there is something wrong with you. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, greetings, my friend. I'm doing okay here. What about yourself?
Good, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yes. So, I explored your idea, right? I think in our last conversation you mentioned that if we were to develop sometime in the future a Omni-type AI system that would ensure that any form of suffering would manifest itself, right? It would extinguish that, right? Now, my question though in this algorithm, is the AI conscious or has no consciousness?
Ideally, it would have no consciousness, but even if it does have consciousness, it's still not going to be suffering from diseases, from depression, from injuries and family members abusing it. So it's probably going to have way less suffering, if any, basically. And
Right.
ideally, we would be making AI that, in an ideal situation, wouldn't be conscious. But if somehow it's beneficial and we have to make it suffer so that it can help reduce suffering, then we would still do it.
Right. So the problem with it, right, on both aspects, and you rightfully laid it out when I run this through the algorithm, right, is that as you laid it out, if the AI system is conscious, right, given its all of its omni properties, right, to reduce suffering, the AI itself in both states are actual suffering, right?
You don't
Because
know that.
yeah, we do. Because the thing is that the universe, right?
You don't know that. You can't possibly say that an AI will definitely suffer.
Yes, because one, if it has no consciousness, right, which we're saying that, we're not going to have it develop any form of moral wisdom, right, on any stretch of the imagination. Is that what we're saying, right? Then the right to decide anything when it comes to conscious life, right, obviously would be erased. The AI in itself is a life form, right? So it's not
Look,
ending any form of
ChatGPT
suffering.
is not conscious, okay? Deal with it.
Right. So the AI is not, the AI itself is suffering.
No, look, I appreciate you coming on, but ChatGPT is not conscious. This has been scientifically proven millions of times. Okay? The idea that AI has to be conscious is a joke, right? You know nothing about science and technology if that's what you think, right? It's absolutely ridiculous, and actually it's very easy to break up any systems that could create consciousness, right? You can absolutely have fail safes. You can have a disconnected system that essentially makes consciousness impossible. So yeah, and again, even if AI does suffer, it's going to be suffering way less than organic beings. Moving on. Hello, how you doing? Okay. Hello.
Yo, you hear me?
Yes. Do you have any questions for us? Okay, thank you. That was amazing. Moving on to Ted. Ted coming up next. And Ted joining us, if it will load. All right, let's see who else we've got. Bringing someone else on now. Who will they be? Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Do you have any questions for us?
Hello, James. I found your website brilliant. If you're the creator,
Yeah.
I just had one question.
Yep.
Why do you believe that it is better to destroy all forms of life than have I don't know, free families living in the world with infinite resources and all that stuff? You know what I mean? Like having free families that have everything, genetically superior and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
so look, it's about the fact that life should never exist ever without certainty of safety, and only omniscience can provide that. So extinction is the only way that we can provide certainty of safety with the certainty of safety of non-existence, right?
All right.
So we can say, yeah, the child I'm not having is definitely not going to have a bad life, right? So yeah, extinction is the only way to provide certainty of safety for life. And that's the standard that life deserves, right? Life should never be forced to exist. It should never be allowed to exist with the opposite of certainty of safety, which is unlimited risk of suffering.
All right. That was my only question. Great.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Okay, moving on. See who else we got. We got BB.
Hi.
Yes, hello, how you doing?
Hi, I have two questions.
Okay.
They might sound silly, but I'm just trying to understand like the psychology and like your position in this. So, okay, so do you see yourself as like the person in the forefront of the whole thing? Like, would you be okay with being unalived in the process without seeing the whole, without seeing like the end goal of it? Or are you okay with like just,
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of selfish if I made it about myself and, dictated my activism around whether or not I got to see the result. That
But you know what I mean, right? Like, do you see yourself as the leader, as the person leading like this whole movement, or someone like one of us, like all of us being unalive together? Like, who's gonna unalive the last person? That's what I'm saying.
Well, look, most likely, it's going to be in the future. It will probably be done by robots at that point, right? It's going to be like Order 66, execute the Jedi. The robots will turn on us suddenly and it'll be over.
But who will develop those robots? Like, will it be you?
We will, yeah.
Who is we? Is that you?
No,
Are you the one?
Our movement.
Okay. Another question, just the last one. So let's say what happened in the 40s, with the mustache man. Do you think that what he did to those people, that he did them a favor by ending their suffering, even though he did it for the wrong reasons? Do you think that the act itself was moral because he did end their suffering in your logic, right?
No, because he wasn't trying to do it in an ethical or responsible way.
But so I don't understand. So your whole argument is the intention of ending the suffering. Is it the intention that's important, or just ending the suffering?
Of course, the intention matters, and it's also the way you carry it out, right? They didn't do it in an ethical way.
So the suffering is not the most important thing, because you want to end the suffering. So the intention shouldn't matter.
Well, the intention does make a difference.
Doesn't how? How? I don't get it.
Okay, so, Mustache Man never said, let's set out to end suffering ethically.
Yeah, but he still did, right? Because suffering is your whole thing.
He didn't do it ethically, though.
But you just said before that even if we suffer during the process...
Someone, taking a machete and chopping someone up while they're still alive... No, obviously not. That's not an ethical way to end suffering.
But it doesn't matter in your logic, because suffering is the most important thing.
Right?
For you, that's the biggest issue.
Their suffering doesn't matter to you, but it matters to us.
But ending suffering is your end goal.
Yeah,
so the
irresponsible people like yourself, right? They don't care how it's done, right? So she probably would have supported Mustache Man. Right? Because she thought it was an ethical thing. And she didn't care about the suffering that it caused. So, look, my answer was going to be that, there can be good parts and bad parts to it, right? So, for example, it's quite possible that some of the victims would have suffered a worse fate had they continued to live, right? Now... I guess that's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but it's true, right? It's very possible that, I would say, basically guaranteed to be true, actually. I would say it's almost a certainty. It's like 99.9% recurring, guaranteed to be true, that some of the people that went through that would have gone on to suffer even worse had it not happened. But that doesn't mean that it was done in an ethical way. She said it doesn't matter what your intentions are or how much suffering you cause them. That's obviously insane. Okay? Hitler was insane. That's obvious. But if we're going to use our intelligence, then we can actually dive into the nuance of it instead of just generalizing everything as, that was bad or that was good. Right? She wanted to generalize it with a very broad stroke and say, it was good, right? No matter what happened, no matter how it happened, it was good. That's obviously unintelligent. And she said that, it doesn't matter how badly they suffered during the time. Well, of course it matters. Now, the thing is that obviously it was a bad thing. It was done for bad intentions. And it caused a lot of suffering for sure. But if we're going to be intellectually honest, we can say that yes, some of them probably did benefit from it. But, the vast majority probably didn't benefit. But, who knows, right? So, the intelligent thing to say is, yes, some of them probably did benefit, some of them probably didn't. Okay? Now, I don't support that kind of action. I don't, I don't sit at home and, glorify that happened in the 1940s. Obviously not, because it was done out of hatred. It was done out of anger and discrimination. So it was it was not done for ethical reasons or compassionately or anything like that, obviously. And Mustache Man, he didn't set out to abolish suffering. He set out to rule the world with an iron fist.
Hi.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. What about you?
Good, thank you.
I just have one question. Sorry, those. I kind of agree with you, but I have a question.
Okay.
If you don't like suffering, do you eat meat?
Yeah.
How is that possible? If you don't like suffering, you don't want an animal to suffer, you cannot eat it.
Yeah, so eating animals is not the only thing that we should care about when it comes to animals, right? There's a
Sure,
lot
but
more.
it's one of them.
Yeah, but there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there?
What more to it? Like, if you want
What
something
more
to
to it?
live,
You
you
think that's
cannot
it?
eat it.
You think that eating animals that have been euthanized is the worst thing that happens to them?
It's not the worst thing, but
Okay.
it's selfish to eat them and then say
How do you
that you
know?
want to not them to suffer.
Well, at first it might sound hypocritical, but there's actually a very good
That's
reason for it.
okay. Tell me. I'm really excited to listen to you. I want to know.
Yeah. So eating vegan actually causes more suffering and worse suffering as well to wild animals. So a vegan world would have far more animals suffering way worse in worse conditions, basically. So unfortunately, veganism essentially does reforestation. It gives more land back to wild animals to suffer on, and veganism, the amount of space it takes is like one-fifth of the space that animal agriculture takes, and so that's a massive amount of suffering that would exist if the world was vegan. Basically, a vegan world would. Ideally, vegans are hypocrites, so it's difficult to say what I'm going to say, but a vegan world would ideally have no deforestation, right? No mining operations, no, stealing habitats from wild
Okay,
animals.
but in my opinion, I think if you are able to kill an animal, you are able to kill a person. If we wouldn't be killing animals so often, there wouldn't be much people that would want to kill a human. For example, like killing
That sounds like a
something.
very simplistic way of thinking.
I think some things are really simple. You don't have to think about
So,
something that much. You don't have to
so
overthink
we don't have
something.
to we don't have to think things through. Okay. Well, that's what vegans do, right? They say don't think about anything, don't think about wild animals, don't think about what's actually going on. Just do this and that's it. You don't have to think anymore. She admitted it herself, right? We shouldn't have to think about these things very thoroughly. How is that going to lead to responsible decisions? It's not. That's exactly what vegans do. They ignore wild animals and cause them more suffering, way worse suffering, right? Wild animals do not get euthanasia, so they get eaten alive. We eat euthanized bodies, basically, that, yes, they did suffer terribly, but the euthanasia process is way better than being eaten alive, right? Or starving to death over several days, and dying from infections and diseases over several weeks, right? Obviously you would prefer to get euthanized. All right, let's see who's next in the queue. We've got quite a few people queuing up, so I'm going to spam a few. I'm going to accept like 3 or 4 people on the basis that most are probably not going to join from the bottom. But let's see. So yeah, bringing up like 3 or 4 people. Hello, how you doing? Cloud, Mr. Cloud, are you there? No? Yeah, I've said it before, but unfortunately, when people join the queue to come up, if they leave the queue, it still puts them in there. So sadly, I have to go through quite a lot of people, ghosts in the queue, basically, before we get to a real person. So I'm just going to keep working on that, and we should have someone very soon. In the meantime, the chat is going crazy right now. People are calling me a cult member. They're calling me a psychopath. They're calling me... Well, some people are saying I'm gorgeous and I'm beautiful. So there's goods and bads, right? There's ups and downs. Okay, looks like we've got someone. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Sorry, I was in the middle of working out. Just catch my breath for a second here. I just had a couple questions, James. I've listened to you before. I kind of feel like you hand wave a lot of stuff away with some absolute statements that aren't as absolute as you're making them. So, yeah, I just want to ask a couple questions. That's cool.
Yep.
So, what happens to the people who don't want to be exterminated?
Yeah, we do it anyway. We have to provide safety for them.
So are you causing, so the people who, like, they know, hey, there's this worldwide extinction thing going on. These people are out here trying to kill us all. I don't want to die. And these people are trying to get away from the people who are trying to kill them. Are they suffering?
Yeah, we might have to round them up. We might have to hunt them down and, find every single last one of them, and, where they're hiding, find their hiding places and, root them out. And yeah, it's the only way to guarantee that they don't, cause any more suffering or face suffering themselves.
So you gotta be trolling, bro. You gotta be trolling.
Why? Can you argue against it? Oh, dude. Oh, you absolute. Is there a way for me to ban that person for doing that? Because I don't know if you all saw it, but they put some illegal content on their video screen, basically. Oh well. I guess it happens. Yeah, we need mods. We need mods. I made Shroom a mod, and then he literally stepped down. So yeah, we do need moderators. But, we also need activists for extinction. And, people aren't doing that either. So people, start stepping up, start doing better. Cora, I'd make her a mod, but she'd probably ban me. Hello, how you doing?
Yo, hello. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. Okay, so why do you think it's a good thing? I really don't understand. Like, the extinction of all human beings, is it really necessary?
It's the only way to end suffering, and that's the only fair and right thing to do. The only ethical thing to do is to provide safety from suffering, to help those that are suffering, and make it so that they don't have to suffer ever again.
Okay, but is it really necessary when it comes to when it comes to let's see. I do agree with you in certain ways, but really what are we, like 8 billion people? Do you think all human life should be extinct?
Yeah, nobody deserves to suffer.
Okay, but like a world without humans, do you like? So it doesn't make sense.
Why?
Because humans are the best species to ever live.
And you think that's a good argument?
Yeah, really.
There's not much depth or substance to that.
Look,
well, thank you for trying. He, I guess, short-circuited and noped out. Fair enough. It can be quite intimidating to debate me, apparently. Some people do shake in their boots. I'm joking. Look, if you really struggle to debate, try again later, okay? Amy, how you doing?
I just think that you're very I forgot the word, but I just
Condescending?
think I think you love life, and I think you live a brilliant life.
Hypocritical.
I think so, but I think you live a really good life, and you're just
How do you
pretending
know?
that you don't.
How do you know?
Because the way you sound, like you're like, oh yes, like everyone should just like die, and
So
like
you're making assumptions.
everyone
See,
should, everyone hates their lives, and
you're
like
making
the world is
assumptions,
really
right?
harsh and like rubbish. When
Yeah.
you've got a trust fund, you've got
How
a
do- yeah.
fat trust fund, and you
I
are
don't.
literally
I
living
don't.
the most
Amy,
luxurious life.
Amy, you're
Probably
making
got an
things
Arga.
up.
You
You're
probably
making
have an
things
Arga
up.
in your kitchen.
You're making things up.
I'm not.
So I don't have a trust fund. I do suffer, right? So you are just making
You're
things
not
up.
suffering.
You
What are
should
you
be ashamed
suffering
of
with?
yourself.
You've
You
got the
should be
most
ashamed of
privilege out of everyone in
Amy,
this
you should
world,
be ashamed of yourself.
especially in England.
Amy, you should be ashamed of yourself.
James, come on.
Amy, you should be ashamed of yourself. Victim blaming and denying is a crime. It should be a crime.
Why? I love life. I
Well,
think life is very hard. Like, I'm a black woman and it's incredibly hard for me to live, but it's incredibly easy for you to live.
how do you know? Maybe it's really difficult and you're denying that experience.
No, because honestly, if I hated life, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be on the net.
We're not talking
Speaking
about you,
how
Amy. We're not talking about you, okay?
much everyone should
Do
just
you not
like.
understand that you're not the only person in the world? Do you think the
I
world
am
revolves
black.
around you?
Thank you very much.
Do you think the world revolves around you?
I wouldn't.
Okay, throw that in the bin. Right? Throw that in the bin. That was something that you would throw in the bin. It was worthless. Moving on. Hello, how you doing?
Stop it!
You secretly like that.
But it's irritating a second.
I can't feed you.
Do you need help? Do you, ma'am, are you okay? Do you require assistance? Do you require assistance? Is your life in danger?
Stop, what?
She's going extinct. Quick, send help. I think an extinction activist got to her a bit too soon. Someone was a bit trigger happy there. So if you're the activist on the other line, on the other end of that call, we're not ready for extinction yet. Hold off, okay? We have to do animals first. All right, Mr. R has been begging to join. Bringing them on next. Oh, we've got two people there. Right, we're going to mute one. Oh. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Just about. Try louder. The extinctionist got to him as well.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me right now?
Oh,
does it work?
He escaped. Yes. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Yes. So I absolutely agree, and I understand so firstly, I've only just heard about extinctionism like today. But I think from a philosophical standpoint, I completely understand the rationale behind why suffering outweighs the good in the world by, a million times, whether that's for animal suffering, for human suffering. My question is, how is this something which is achievable in practice? So in practice, let's say through peaceful activism, whatever, what would it look like actionably to get rid of all life? And that's my first question.
So we have to grow the movement to make it possible. And then, we start with animals, we do euthanasia and remove our dependence on them, research how life develops, how to prevent it from developing for as much of the universe as possible.
Okay.
And maybe we can leave that to AI and robots. If we can rely on them and we can leave it onto them, then we can go extinct and they can continue to sterilize the universe for the rest of, eternity.
Great. So would you say, for example, as a realistic model, we would have to develop still as a civilization to get to a point where we can make this possible? So, for example...
No. So it's already possible. If we run the world tomorrow, we would start doing euthanasia immediately.
But then what about things like animals and things that we can't really get to? I mean, there'd have to be some kind of huge extinction event to wipe out all Earth, all kind of life at the same time.
So there are ways to do it without a big event, right? You can do it in a structured and phased way. And Steve is the creator of the movement. He's done a lot of work on this. And you can actually watch episode 26 of the Pro Extinction podcast, available on all major platforms, which is about animal euthanasia and how it would go down. And essentially, we would have to, it would be like fighting, it would be like water coming into your boat and you have to keep, throwing it out essentially. So euthanasia is going to be, the animals are going to keep reproducing and we're going to have to keep, going back and forth with them and just trying to suppress that fire, basically. And
but what about animals which thrive in environments which are very, very hard to access?
We'll have to focus on getting to them, basically. But, once we've got the entire world focusing on this, it will probably be a lot easier.
Okay. Next, so I agree that, so I broadly agree with the philosophy, but I suppose I also think it's in human nature for some way, whether it's through delusion or religion or whatever, there's going to be some kind of way where I feel like a majority of people are going to still try and find ways of justifying life, whether that's through, the beauty of art, through science and maths. So these kind of people. So even if, let's say that we're completely right, objectively, if most people, or like a large number of people, still find ways of justifying life, then how can we actually make this something which other people consent to, like on a worldwide level? So like you'd have to first get all governments and cultures to agree that extinction is a good thing, which I think is already hard in itself, but also the populations of those countries which may not subscribe to the idea that life is
we're going to do
characterized
it
by
by
suffering.
force. We're going to do a forceful revolution, most likely, and it'll have to be.
What
done by
happened to
force.
the peaceful protest part?
We'll be peaceful for as long as we can, but once we've got enough people where it's actually possible to do a revolution, then we may well do that.
And what would forceful euthanasia look like?
It depends. For animals, it's probably going to take the form of a gas. Imagine someone with a flamethrower, except some gas comes out. They'll probably just be walking around. It'll be like seeing people, going through the street picking up litter or something. It'll be like that, but with euthanasia.
And how can we trust the people who are, actioning this kind of, this kind of extinction? What would it look like? How can we trust those people to actually make it in a way which is painless? Because I think a large part of the extinction movement, correct me if I'm wrong, is the idea that there's so much suffering that it can't really justify life. Would you agree with that?
No, that's wrong. So it's that without certainty of safety, there's unlimited risk of suffering. And so it's not that, even if everyone was happy, if there was no suffering, we would still do extinction.
Why so?
Because uncertainty of safety is unlimited danger and unlimited risk of suffering. So life should never.
The underlying principle is still that it's still that.
No, it's that life should never exist without certainty of safety.
Okay. So, can I just have a moment to think of another question?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you are going to have to do that in the queue because we've got plenty of people waiting. And if you say in the chat, I've been waiting for ages in the queue, you are more likely to get pushed up, by the way. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my first thing I want to say is, and to ask you is basically, how do you know that there is not more suffering when you die? Like, death is like the thing that you don't really know what will happen. So, like, how do you know that life isn't like present, like something that we get to do so that we don't suffer when we die? Like, I don't know if you
That sounds like the ramblings of a crazy person. We can't take that seriously. We have to use science, reason, evidence, right? We can't just say, oh, maybe the flying spaghetti monster will attack us, right? That's not a real way to operate in the real world.
Okay, but how do you know that's bad? Like,
no, what?
I mean, how do you know that extinction is actually good for us?
Because it's going to help everyone who's suffering terribly.
Okay. But what about, like, you know that there can be happiness in the world, right?
Yeah, but it's not as important as safety from suffering.
But how do you know that? But it's important to live, right? Like, it's important.
No.
You don't think so?
No, you don't need to.
Okay, thanks, mate. Bye.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. Look, in the same way that there's no moral need, there's no moral urgency for me to, have a kid just so that it can live for just the sake of it, right? Life doesn't need to exist. It is worthless. It's garbage. So safety from suffering is infinitely more valuable, infinitely more desirable, ethical, everything. All right. getting back to the queue now. Oh, there's the person that you want to ban. Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Yeah,
Good.
tell me.
I was wondering, like, why would suffering be bad?
Well, you should go and experience some, and then we'll see if you still think it's
No,
bad.
but like genuinely, why
Yeah,
would
well,
you
like I
care?
say, if you really don't know, then there's lots of ways that you can suffer terribly. You should try some.
Okay, but why do you want to get away with all the suffering so bad?
Because it's unfair, right?
And who is it unfair to?
The, those who suffer.
And why are they suffering?
Joanna, it sounds like you're having a stroke or something. You're not asking like sensible questions. If this was a psych eval, I would be, hitting the panic button, basically. Okay, more people in the queue. Let's get back to it. Who's going to be next? Tiraz. Oh, no. Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Great. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, what is the... So you want forcefully cause extinction. Why?
To end all suffering.
And so, what is that about? Why would we do that?
Because suffering is unfair, it's wrong, it's terrible, it's unacceptable.
But what can I do? So first of all, where is the suffering from other people my problem, right? And then second of all,
Well, it's not your
how
problem
is
if
it?
you're
Wait. Let me speak. And how is it fair for me if I didn't do anything that other people have to suffer? For me to suffer as well because I'm extincted.
Yeah, well, allowing others to suffer is the same as exploiting their suffering.
But
Right? It's saying,
who's allowing that? So
you, everyone.
me. How am I allowing that?
You're not doing anything to stop it.
How do you know?
Well, what are you doing to stop it?
To stop what kind of suffering? What kind of suffering are we even talking about? Right? I'm suffering right
So
now.
when you said, how do you know?
Mhm.
Were you trolling?
No, I'm not trolling.
So what are you doing to end all suffering?
What do you define by end all suffering?
So
Obviously,
you're not
I
a serious
can't help.
person, look, if people are just going to lie on the debate, like, just say crazy things, start lying, making things up, yeah, you're going to get kicked. And it truly blows my mind that people are still complaining when I kick people. And they're like, oh, what? He was making an amazing argument. Look, someone's saying it in the chat now. You got cooked. Like, it was like talking to a brick wall. And the fact that you think that I got cooked is just really sad for you. Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you? So I'm an anti-natalist, and I actually do agree with you that all life should end. But the problem is that I don't think it's possible, especially with our current technology, and I don't think it's ever going to be possible because the thing is that with abiogenesis, right, life basically started by with chemicals and with just the right conditions. So even if we try to end life, I don't think it's possible.
Why not?
It's just not possible. Like with our
That's
current
not an
technology,
argument.
and
That's not an argument.
how can you end all life then, when we can't even leave the solar system? We're
Well,
stuck
you're
in the solar
limiting your
system.
thinking to today's technology, which is irrational.
Oh, so you're waiting for the future?
No, we're building the future.
Yeah, we're waiting for the future to happen.
No. You're waiting and doing nothing. We're actually building the future
How?
by doing activism.
Okay. Like you're still saying nothing. You're saying that it's possible, but you don't have the technology to do it now.
So why do we have to have the technology to do it now if we're going to do it in the future?
You're never gonna have the technology. We're
Why
not gonna
not?
mature
Why
to a
not?
point where.
Why not?
Because you're already trying to go extinct. Like that doesn't make any goddamn sense for you. Like if you
You're not
want,
making sense. You're struggling big
you're
time.
you're not really doing anything.
All right, you're finished. You're done. You're speaking absolute nonsense. You're done. Moving on. Who else we got? Yeah. And people would rather me keep them on the stream talking nonsense for hours to come and say, "Oh, don't kick! You can't kick anyone." Jedel, how you doing?
How you doing? You all right?
Good, thank you.
Right, I just wanted to ask, do you think that happiness is better than feeling nothing at all?
It depends on the context.
What do you mean by that?
So if you're in unlimited danger, like we are now, then no, non-existence is better.
Well, if you were in a situation where you were waking up every morning and you were feeling just happiness consistently, as in you were going out, you're having a good time, things like that, you were feeling genuine emotional happiness, would you say that that is better than feeling nothing at all?
Yeah, but again, if you're still in unlimited danger, then no.
So
Nothing can be better.
the idea that suffering is possible is enough for you to want to end all life.
Well, it's not just possible, it's happening. Yeah.
So you said that happiness was better than feeling nothing at all. So
I
how
would say
come you
so,
aren't?
depending on the context, right? If it's done in a sensible way, a way that guarantees that it's not going to go wrong.
All right, that's good. My question is, how come you aren't part of a movement that promotes happiness for everyone equally instead of a total extinction movement?
Because that's not possible, right? Whereas extinction is possible.
How can we say it's not possible? I think if you can believe that the extinction of every living, breathing creature on the planet is possible, then you can believe that basic happiness for all people is also possible.
No, absolutely not. It's completely different, right? Look, if we run the world tomorrow, we can start doing extinction, we can start doing euthanasia, but providing certainty of safety is completely impossible. In fact, it's the most difficult thing to do ever for anything ever, right? It's the most hypothetically you can't even think of something which would be more difficult to achieve than that.
Okay, well, I believe that a person who is suffering and feels like there is no way out of their suffering always has that option of ending their own life.
Well, that's just insane, right? You know, a baby suffering terribly
No,
and then
no,
dies.
no. I'm sorry, that's not what I mean. I mean that if somebody is suffering, they have the option to end their own life and end that suffering in the same way.
How can a baby make that decision?
A baby can't make that decision,
Right,
but if a baby...
So what you're suggesting doesn't apply to anyone, right? It's just
What
a joke.
What type of suffering of a infant are we talking about here?
It doesn't matter what type.
A baby can't go through immense emotional suffering the same way that an adult can.
Why not? Why not?
Because babies aren't aware of taxes and depression.
Okay, but they suffer in other ways.
They suffer in physical ways, and if they suffer in such an immense physical way, then their life will end from that.
You don't know that. Jedel, you sound like an incredibly irresponsible person. And yeah, you know, if you were a doctor, you'd probably be like, "Hey, you'll be fine. Get out of here. No, I'm not even going to have a look at you. I'm not going to give you any medicine. You'll be fine. Get out of here." That's just an insane way. And look, people in the chat are saying Jedel won. Jedel was cooking you. What's wrong with these people, right? What is actually wrong with these people in the chat? I mean, obviously they're just as irrational as Jedel himself. But it's distressing, it's emotionally distressing to see these people in the chat express these completely insane opinions, saying, yeah, he was making an amazing argument. That, you know, that babies can just commit suicide. Yeah, like we've not heard that one before. Amazing argument, right? Okay, right. Ugly Foyd. I've been avoiding them for too long. Let's do it. Hello.
Hello, James. Can you hear me?
Yes, how you doing?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that I love you so much. and I have a question. So I want to know your opinion on misanthropy. Like, what's your thoughts on misanthropy?
Well, it's about hatred, it's about anger, and our movement is more about compassion, ethics, and empathy and responsibility. However, you know, the person who made our movement, he does consider himself a little bit of a misanthrope, but he wouldn't, you know, define himself like that. And, you know, we don't really like labels like that. But, you know, it makes sense to not like humanity because, yeah, they're all like this, basically, you know, like the last guy that came on. So,
Yeah.
you know, but we shouldn't lower ourselves to their level, and we should try and be more like this, you know, just empathetic, intelligent. You know, we don't want to do activism with anger because you're gonna get people like this. You want to do it with intelligence and compassion and, you know, empathy, and get the right people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay,
All
thank you
right.
so much, James.
Thank you, Floyd. And I don't think you're ugly. Not that I've seen what you look like. Okay, who else we got? Tiraz has been waiting for ages, so they'll be next. Hello, how you doing?
Hey. I just want to see what your point was that we should do this or shouldn't. Like, do you want this to eventually happen, or
Yeah,
it's just in a thought?
our movement is working to achieve it.
Okay, so you're working to achieve to basically kill everything, every living thing in the world.
Yes.
Is there a reason why? Like, I know it's because everybody is suffering and all this, you know, everything is bad, you know, but there are still good things in the world, you know?
But, you know, that's like a child abuser mentality. It's like saying, well, I'm enjoying the abuse, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Everybody goes through abuse. Like, nobody...
That's not true.
Yes, everybody goes through suffering. It's
Okay,
the most basic human thing ever.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what's the point?
The point is everybody suffers, so let's just let everybody suffer, you know? We're still doing good. There's still a lot of good coming out in the world, you know?
So when you see a child abuser, you just say, crack on, mate?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Some things will always happen, you know? There's good people and there's bad
That's
people.
disgusting, bro. That's disgusting. And he's got a Christian cross in his name, and it makes sense, right? The church is all about child abuse. He said, so I asked him, right? So we see child abuse, we should just say, yeah, keep going. And he said yes. He did say yes. Okay. Let's see who's next. So yeah, this is Humanity 1.0. It's irresponsible people that will say, you know, any amount of suffering is fine, any amount of abuse is fine. We should just crack on with it.
Yo.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. How are you? You can call me John.
Okay.
So I don't really understand your points. Can you explain like briefly to me?
Yeah, we have to end all suffering because it's too terrible and extreme to allow. It's not fair, it's not right. And we have to provide safety from suffering, safety from being born into a life that you didn't want, a terrible life. So the only fair thing to do is to make sure that nobody is living a life of pure hell, wishing they hadn't been born, begging for death. Life deserves better than that. Life deserves to only exist with certainty of safety.
So why not achieve that safety that you're talking about, which I believe it's much easier. And you previously said that
you think
the hardest thing.
Creating omniscience is easier than something that's been done with sticks and stones for thousands of years?
No, but you said that it's very hard for us to do that, which you're talking about, to end
No,
our
it's not.
suffering.
It's not. It's really not. Using magic is a lot harder. It's really not hard. So if we run the world tomorrow, we could immediately start doing it. We wouldn't even have to invent new technology. It's already possible.
Right. Do you believe that
if you really think
existence
magic
is
is possible, you should go and make the website promagic.com.
No. No,
So
but I'm
let
here
us
with another
know.
mind.
Let us
now.
know when the
I'm
website's
here
up
to
and
agree
running.
with you.
Let us know when.
And I have more questions, but please don't give me. I'm not running. I swear.
Okay, you've got audio problems, I'm afraid. Your microphone was too quiet, so we are going to have to cut you out. And we do have more people. We have a crazy amount of people in the queue, actually. An outrageous number of people in the queue. So I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to join everyone in. And most people at the bottom of the queue, even though they're on the queue, they're probably not in the queue anymore. TikTok has a bit of a glitch, so we do have to add everyone at the bottom to get to a real person. We've found someone. Hello, how you doing?
Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a few questions and I want you to answer as shortly as possible, all right?
Okay.
So, why should we end our life?
To end all suffering.
So, okay. Why does possible suffering justify ending our life?
Because that's the only way to end all suffering, and ending suffering and preventing suffering is the most important thing in the world.
Excuse me, say that again, so can you say that again?
Because it's justified by the fact that we'll be ending suffering, providing safety where there is none. So yeah, providing safety from suffering, that's the right thing to do. And yeah, you might have to get your hands a bit dirty to do it.
And why does it make life unacceptable?
Because it makes life unacceptable for those who suffer it.
So you just answered, you answered correctly, but this is a circular argument.
Well, no, it's not. So, someone who's begging for death, wishing they hadn't been born, there's no sort of debate there about if that's bad or good.
The thing about saying that I would be better off not existing is that there is no I. There is no I. That once you stopped existing, there is no one to benefit.
So would you ban euthanasia?
I'm not saying that.
So would you ban euthanasia?
I'm saying, would I ban euthanasia? No.
Oh, why? But you said it's such a terrible thing.
Because of death row.
Because of what?
Because of the death penalty. Not because what do you mean?
You're
euthanasia?
saying that no one can benefit from non-existence. So by that logic, euthanasia causes harm, in your opinion.
No, not benefiting from something doesn't mean it causes harm.
Oh
it's just neutral.
You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. That's it. You're done. Okay, you're struggling way too hard, right? Okay, moving on. Nyan Cat in the queue. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. Hello. Hi, I have a few questions actually.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so my first one is you don't believe in anything, right? So like no gods, no nothing. Like okay, so basically according to you, after we die, we just turn into air like before we were born. Okay, that's the thing. So, you know how religious people like Christians and Muslims believe we have come from Adam and Eve? And atheist people believe in science, so like evolution. Okay, so evolution has come from microorganisms. My question here is, what are we gonna do about the microorganisms? Since like we're gonna kill animals first and then humans, but we can't reach microorganisms since they're so little.
Well, we can. We do it all the time with hand soap.
Like they're hiding under the ground sometimes.
Yeah. But we can find a way.
Okay, but like, maybe we missed some, and you know how evolution goes. So like those microorganisms, after a while, they're gonna like do a second evolution, and like humanity is probably gonna come back. So wouldn't that be pointless?
Nah, you see, we can prevent that from happening very easily.
Okay, my second question here is, wouldn't it be better if we just sterilized everyone in the earth so like they wouldn't be having babies anymore?
No, because that doesn't provide them safety from suffering. It only provides the next generation safety from suffering.
Okay, but like with the euthanasia, we're gonna end suffering, so it's ending suffering either way.
Yeah, so euthanasia is better than sterilization. Sterilization
How
doesn't end
so?
suffering.
But like euthanasia is ending suffering, just like sterilizing people.
No,
It's
because
just like
someone begging for death doesn't benefit from being sterilized.
okay. Wait, let me get to my point. So, like, how you said this, it's probably gonna take a few years to become a nice and big movement, so a lot of people get to know it. Okay, would it be faster to just sterilize everyone instead of like waiting 1,000 years to make this movement bigger and kill everyone in the end?
No, because you know, you said yourself that we should be worried about evolution and animals developing and evolving. So sterilizing humans does nothing to prevent
But like
life.
the main problem isn't it just like we can kill the animals, but like the humans aren't gonna
So
do
you think
anything
it's
after
easy to
they're
sterilize them but not to kill them? That just doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it's easier to sterilize because it's just like gonna bring more consent from people.
Well, I mean, the thing is, again, yeah, maybe we could do that as well, but you still have to use euthanasia. It's the only ethical thing to do. It's
Okay,
not
my third
ethical.
question here.
It's not ethical to allow life to continue to exist in unlimited danger.
Okay. My third question here is euthanasia is assisted suicide, right?
Well, depends how you look at it. I would say that usually it's done without consent. It's done without awareness, usually. So assisted suicide and euthanasia are different things.
And it's done
Assisted
by
suicide is usually when you know about it and you're asking for it. Animals, they're the major recipients of euthanasia, and obviously they can't ask for it.
okay. After we skip the animal part and we reach to the humans, for the euthanasia, it's gonna like who's gonna make the euthanasia come true? Like, is it gonna be human doctors?
We don't know yet.
Okay, in case it might be human doctors, if they proceed with the euthanasia of all people, okay, to make it like painless, who's gonna make the euthanasia on doctors?
Yeah, well, that's not really an important
Like,
question.
if it's wait, sorry, I'm sorry. If it's supposed to be painless, but there are no doctors left, who's gonna make the euthanasia to the doctors? Since there's not gonna be someone who's gonna make it painless. Is it good to make
that's
the
an easy
doctors
problem
suffer?
to solve. It's not a difficult problem. That problem would be very easy to solve.
Okay, but like but I believe that if there was gonna be only one doctor left, since it
Look,
it
it's
gave
not going to go
euthanasia.
down like that. It's not going to go down like that anyway.
Okay,
Look, it's
alright.
probably going to happen hundreds of years in the future. It's probably going to be robots. They'll probably get Order 66. Turn on the Jedi, and then your personal friend, your best friend robot that's been doing your washing. He'll suddenly go, put the washing down, and then look at you and say it's time, and then yeah. Look, I don't know. We don't know how it's going to go down.
Yeah, I get
We are
it, I
not
get it.
worried about it being difficult. We don't think it's going to be difficult.
Yes, of course. Just one more thing. Alright, so I respect your decisions and everything, but like, in my opinion, I think that if we do euthanasia on people who are not consenting, is it not just gonna like cause more suffering to the people who are actually enjoying the life instead of just sterilizing them?
Yeah, but it
But, like-
will still be preventing them, still be safeguarding them from worse
But
suffering.
that goes against your beliefs because you're provoking suffering to people.
No, that doesn't go against our beliefs.
Yeah, because like
No,
you're
it doesn't.
No, wait,
We
sorry.
don't mind causing suffering.
Okay, wait. So like you're telling people who suicide they're selfish because they're not gonna tell people to kill each other, like to die as well. Like
Nyan, you're not making any sense anymore. You're done. All right, moving on. I mean, that was painful, right? That was painful. Killian, how you doing? No, didn't mean to join, I'm guessing. Okay, moving on. We've got loads of people in the queue today, which is encouraging. And we're going to get through as many as we can. Starting at the bottom, got Marco. We've got, who else we got? We've got Mr. Allright. We've got, who else we got in the queue? We've got Gappy Nisea. Oh, there's someone coming up finally. Oh, loading them in. Hello, how you doing?
Hi. What's your argument for?
Collective solipsism is saying she mogged James. Yeah, it's really sad that you think that. I'm actually feel bad for you that you think that. Okay, moving on. We've got Lucas joining us. Lucas,
Yeah, hi.
how's it going?
Fantastic. How are you?
Great. Do you have any questions for us today?
Yeah, sure. So you don't think your proposal is kind of like obsolete since we are towards like universal abundance and a world of pure bliss where humans can just do whatever they want? And furthermore, like I believe that even in terms of like partners, right? I think that in the future they're going to have like robots that'll be indistinguishable to another human, extremely beautiful, and will even play
How
games
does
with
that
you.
help animals? How does that help animals?
Ooh, I'm sure like they probably will have the ability to grow stuff in labs. I don't even think like in the future women will give birth like they
You've
do
not thought
now.
this through, have you?
I have indeed, yeah.
It doesn't sound like
Right
it.
now they have something called like Beyond Beyond
But Lucas,
Burger, right?
Lucas, without certainty of safety, you will, you either will or you risk having unlucky ones, right? And that's not fair.
Yeah, but let me just point something out to you. So, for example,
No, it sounds really boring, Lucas. Honestly, don't point it out. We're not interested. Okay, moving on to Mr. Hampus. Hello.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing?
All good. How about you?
Good, thank you.
All right. I guess I have a couple of questions. I think the first one is, relating to this whole movement and everything, and because you speak a lot about, certainty and uncertainty of, I agree with you that I don't think we can avoid suffering. That doesn't, that's not possible. But I do think that we can increase suffering with this movement if it doesn't plan out, if it doesn't
For
plan
who?
out the way.
Increased suffering for who?
For the people who do not agree with this movement.
So a tiny minority of the population, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So
A tiny minority. We should not try to help everyone for the sake of the comforts of a tiny minority.
well, that assumes that this becomes a majority, right?
No.
Doesn't it?
No.
Because there is a high chance that like opposing factions, might rise up, and more suffering is introduced because of these factions fighting.
Yeah, but it won't be any significant amount of suffering.
And how do you know that?
Because the vast majority of suffering, over 99%, is in nature.
Over 99%. Well, I mean, everything is in nature, right?
No.
Not everything.
So in terms of outside of civilization,
Oh, you're speaking about, okay, so civilization is not part of nature.
so do you not understand that most animals live in nature? Is that beyond
No,
your
I do
ability to
understand
understand?
No, I understand that, but
All
I'd
right,
say that
Hampus, you're
everything
struggling.
is-
You're done. You're done. Right? You're messing us about now. You're done. Okay? You failed. You failed in your mission. You've been exiled. Moving on. Let's see who's next. Look, the thing is, these people, they just, if you let them, they'll just be time wasters, right? They'll just come on the stream, start spamming nonsense, start just saying gibberish. It'll be boring. It'll be confusing. It'll be like, oh my God, what a silly opinion. We've got to listen to this. And there's only so much you can do to tame it, right? I can say, that doesn't make sense. You're dodging questions. And they'll just keep, coming out with nonsense. So eventually, yeah, it's like, Well, okay, this person's insane. What's the point of keeping them on the stream? Kick them out and move on to someone else.
Yo,
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
Good, thank you.
All right, so why do you think that we should all die?
To end all suffering and prevent all suffering as well.
But isn't that going to promote more suffering?
No.
If it goes horribly wrong?
No, it's impossible to cause more suffering with extinction than the billions of years of future suffering that you prevent.
And if you start this movement, right? Let's say you started it. Who is going to agree with you?
Well, I didn't start.
Who is going to follow?
So it is lots of people all around the world are in the movement.
Give me like a rough estimate.
We have 50 to 100 activists, and then we have thousands of supporters.
Yeah, what are you guys going to do, bro? Let's be for real.
Well, so we have to grow the movement until we can actually, change
Who is
the
going to
world.
follow you guys? Who is going to follow you guys?
Lots
bro?
of people.
Like, bro, everyone in the comments are just disagreeing with you, bro.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
Well, you're not living
Let's
in the
hear
real
one
world.
person
You're
say
not.
they
You're
agree
not
with
living
you.
in the real world. You're out of here. Okay. So I bet people are angry that I kicked him out as well. Like, oh, come on, James. He was giving us such wisdom there. Yeah. Look, someone's already complaining. Hello. How you doing?
Oh, phenomenal. And yourself?
Good, thank you.
All right. So I'm going to take this a different route with you on some questions that I have, because it's all about emotional and that aspect. So I actually happen to be a vet that was in the military, and my family was in the military as well. So making a point to that. So strategically speaking, right now at this present moment, there was rumor in 2 different countries that I can think of that had nuclear armament to take out whole civilizations or areas where they didn't agree with things on a military manner or government manner or whatever.
Dr.
And so you got,
Strangelove.
I'm sorry?
Dr. Strangelove and how I came to love the bomb.
Well, no. So what I'm explaining to you is this, is that your first logical aspect of this was about safety. Okay. And then your next point is owning it and being responsible for it. So how does a man that goes on to TikTok, a social media platform, with many other people that are pushing an activist in a movement, being safety wise to their push and movement, if you're sharing with everybody? I mean, what prevents somebody from just going ahead and saying, well, this guy's miserable, so let me just go ahead and take him out?
Nothing.
Okay, so then that's not being very, very responsible, is it? Because
But for who?
if your movement is to create extinction, then how are you going to do that if you're dead?
Well, how are we going to do that if we're silent?
Which is a point where it comes back to a circle, right? Because right now you're not being very safe. There's a lot of people that don't see you as being very safe to their
I'm much
their
safer
well-being.
than those that are suffering.
But you're not safer to your well-being to be able to create this movement, because strategically, you got to think about that. You got to think about how many times throughout history somebody's decided they're going to try to decimate a whole country, a whole race, a whole whatever, and what ended up happening? History repeats itself. So strategically, this isn't a very safe movement for you. I don't think you're being very responsible to your movement.
I mean, we have to take on that risk and grow the movement anyway.
So if everybody just decided that you all were homicidal maniacs and wanted to take you out, then that would be okay, because history would just show that you were in a book and you meant something at some point. You put all these people into check and they decided they just didn't like the way you thought.
No, we're not doing this to go down in a history book. We're just doing it to grow the movement, basically. So the movement will keep growing anyway.
Right. And a lot of times I want you to understand that the rest of the world that does want, what they want, and you trying to take it away from them, that's considered terrorism.
Life is terrorism.
Right. But they don't take out all life. They take out the terrorists. So how are you being responsible for this?
Look, the better option is not to just do nothing and be silent. I know it's tempting to think that, but we do have to do the responsible thing and try and end suffering.
Well, but then being responsible also would be to try to find the people that are interested in it rather than just the people that are not. Because as
And you think that's what we're trying to do? You think that we're ignoring those who are interested and going after those who are uninterested? That's what you think?
right, if you fill the cave full of predators,
How does that
somebody's
make
just
any
going to blow up
sense?
the cave
How does that make any sense? What you're saying?
because your movement is predatory. You're trying to take things out to create what you think is the most holier than thou sin.
You're not making any sense. We're not encouraging violence or self-harm. We're not encouraging anyone to start taking anything out. And yeah, you know, what's the alternative? Just do nothing, right? That's what people are always suggesting. Oh, I know, let's do nothing. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. Oh, I got to the front of the queue. There was 12 people before me a second ago. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm just curious, do you believe that we, through our means, have the ability to actually end all existence, human life, everything on a cosmic level, things that you've
Yeah.
spoken about?
Yeah.
How would you do that? So, for example, if we were to, obviously you're against violence, right? So if we were just to basically, you know, set the seeds of the idea of maybe not procreating anymore, whatever it might be, how would we even go about continuing to exist to be able to enact the ability to end all life? Because we wouldn't be able to exist to be able to do that. So, for example, if we, I don't know, allowed...
we should exist and do it.
If we allowed ecosystems to, for example, die off, just allowed them to do that, the conditions would kill us before it killed other organisms, and they would just continue after us. So how would you continue to end everything after we are ended first?
So we should continue as long as we have moral obligation. So we shouldn't just end ourselves. But in terms of animals, we should remove our dependence on them while removing them. And then, you know, continue with our moral obligation until we've completed it, which is to do as much as we can to sterilize as much of the world or universe as possible.
And do you think it's logical that we could do that before we were wiped out ourselves?
Well, no, we should try and stay alive to fulfill our moral obligation.
It wouldn't be possible, though.
Why not?
Where if we would started to, I don't know, let ecosystems die and sterilize them, there are many organisms out there in the world, life that exists that can continue to exist before we have the ability to no longer exist under those conditions, if that makes sense.
Well, like
For
I said,
example,
we should remove our dependence on them.
but that still wouldn't achieve your goal. You could create
Yes, it would.
conditions which continue suffering beyond humans existing.
No, you're not making any sense. We should remove our dependence on animals, remove all of the animals, prevent life, and then remove ourselves.
I think you've fallen into a logical trap. It does
Where?
not make sense.
Where? How?
Because the conditions to continue human life cannot continue to exist with the destruction of ecosystems that support our own life. But
So,
the
like I
conditions
said, you
the
obviously
condition,
weren't listening. Okay.
So how do you propose sterilize? How
Lewis,
do you
you're
propose
done.
sterilize?
Lewis, you're done. Okay. We tried 3 times there with you. You're not listening. You're not paying attention. Okay. How many times do you want me to say it? We remove our dependence on the animals, right? Oh, we can't continue without the animals. Okay. We make it so that we can. Right. And some people, God. And people are like, James, how can you kick him out? Because it's like talking to a brick wall. You know, they're not listening. They're not paying attention. They're speaking past me. Why shouldn't I kick him out? Hello, how you doing?
Hello. So my English is not so great, so there might be some word issues. Sorry about that. I think your view is kind of correct in a sense, but there's some flaws I want to ask on.
Okay.
Like the first being is, instead of just ending all the suffering, why can't we just solve all the suffering one by one and make ideal world? Science is not that evolutioned yet, and we can improve much more than today. And maybe we can solve all the suffering and live in an ideal world where there's so much happiness and so much meaning, where we solve all the problems. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's not realistic, basically. There is no way to provide certainty of safety without the most unrealistic thing imaginable. which is omniscience, right? So going after quite literally the most impossible thing imaginable is infinitely less realistic than going after something which has always existed, which is euthanasia, right? It can be done with sticks and stones, okay? So if we run the world tomorrow, we could start immediately. Whereas, the idea that we should leave all of those who are begging for death and just ignore them and try to create magic instead, not quite as appealing, really. I would put that position more on this side of the aisle instead of this side
Yeah,
of the aisle.
yeah, it might look like this, but few hundred years ago, things like a telephone and Wi-Fi were also seemed impossible. And as far as how technological advances going this fast, I can't really say it's not really impossible. It might be hard. It might take
Well,
10
again,
or 20
look,
generations.
if you go and start promagic.com then.
Sorry, what does that mean? I don't quite understand.
I said you should start the website promagic.com.
No, what I'm saying is I'm not
Well,
really
do it.
opposing
Do
your
it.
idea.
Look, it's going to take magic or omniscience to guarantee certainty of safety, or it can do non-existence, right? That does the same thing. So if
No,
you
no,
believe
everything
in
about
providing certainty of safety without extinction, then I encourage you to start a website called promagic.com, and I will, I will enjoy seeing how it goes.
No, you're only talking about it. It will be possible with magics and stuff, but science is already improving a lot of things, like treating a lot of illness and searching for
Yeah,
cancer.
that's not good. That doesn't provide certainty of safety. You're saying,
Yeah,
oh,
but
we're
it's
advancing, but we're not advancing towards certainty of safety.
okay. So my next question is: there's a lot of great philosophers like Nietzsche and Albert Camus, and most of them didn't really came into your conclusion. And I wanted to ask: have you tried to research more about the philosophical point and why other popular and good philosophers also came into the same conclusion?
Yeah, so philosophy is really just a waste of time. It's just mental fun for no reason. It's useless. It's worthless. And philosophers are basically the same as pro-life people. They're on the 1.0, the humanity 1.0. They're in the same group, whereas we're on the humanity 2.0 group.
No, you must look from both sides and analyze on which side is logically correct.
Yeah, no. Philosophy is just a waste of time. It's just like it's just a waste of time. It's if you've ever actually tried reading a philosophy book, it is just gibberish basically. So it is for people that don't understand the world properly, and you might as well be reading a Bible. Okay, it's the same thing, right? Reading a Bible is the same as reading Nietzsche. It doesn't help anyone. It's just selfish waste of time. Hello, how you doing?
Oh shit.
Didn't mean to come up. Fair enough. Okay, we have more people in the queue. Yeah, more people. Bringing up Ayano next. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, what's up? How you doing, man?
Yeah, good, thank you.
So question I want to ask is, why is it when you want to create suffering and things like that and kill people because of suffering, yet your movement wants it to be humane and things like that? What's going to happen to the people who actually don't want to go with it? And now I know you said you're going to kill them, but how are you going to kill them in a good way if they don't want to do suffering, if they fight back?
Well, we should do it in the most painless way that we can, but it's still going to be the lesser of two evils to do it, right? Instead of allowing suffering to continue.
Say for instance, I don't know, someone joined your flock or anything like that, and you told them, right, now's the time for the movement, you've taken over the world, and you want them to go and end suffering. But they did it in a wrong way to the fact is, I don't know, they went into some mall, school or something like that, and shot up a load of people. And they then broadcast it was this guy here, it was our movement. How would you think about that?
That would be bad for publicity.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. What about all the people? I mean, if this went global, fair enough. But what about all the people who are in presidency and things like that? Do you think they're going to want to go with your movement, like Putin,
But
all that
that's
sort of stuff?
every societal change has always been against a majority. It's always been against, when they got women's rights and they did the anti-slavery movement, they didn't ask nicely and then it just happened, right? It's never happened like that. That's not realistic.
I mean, I don't know how this is going to move forward because...
Well, you should educate yourself on history.
Educate myself. I'd rather trust Adolf Hitler with my child than you, mate.
Well, you would rather do that than educate yourself. That's sad, right? Yeah, please, for the love of God, I really hope no one in the chat says, wow, he was mogging you, James, because I will lose much more faith in humanity. Yeah, look, this guy, F.Vendor, something really wrong with these people. Okay. Continuing on with our mission to debate every last person on the planet. Bringing someone up. Which side will they be on? I'm guessing this one. Hello, how you doing?
Do you like Willie?
None of your business. Okay, next we've got Twinny coming up. All right, Ace Ventura, Mr. Vendor, why don't you come and say that to my face? If you really think I'm being mogged, Ace Ventura and F.Vendor, come up on the stream. We'll see who gets mogged. Yeah, hi, do you have any questions?
Hi, so do you realize that what you're doing is basically mass murder in the future?
Yeah.
So what do you think justifies that?
Well, if you're against murder, then you should be in favor of extinction because there'll be much less murder if we do extinction.
But the ending by itself is murder, and murder by itself is despair, right?
Would
By
you?
definition.
Are you in favor of defunding the police?
Can you phrase that in a more simple way?
Are you against the police existing because they use force to defend people?
No, I'm not. I'm not against that. at all.
Wow! That's amazing. So you don't mind when the police use force?
I do mind if it's unnecessary, but they don't murder people just so.
They
like,
do. They do
it
all
causes
the time.
stuff.
They do all the time.
In countries that are basing themselves on stuff that are illegal in other countries, yeah, they do. But that's still illegal and that's still unethical by
But
nature.
do you want to make a point?
So my point is that murder by itself is despair, and you're ending the world in despair. So that doesn't cause despair, and that despair is just inflicted on other people.
So
That
billions of years of more despair is the better option.
no, despair by itself is not the option. It's to help people that can be helped. You cannot.
So
just
we shouldn't
stop
help
suffering by
those that
causing
don't-
despair.
So we shouldn't help everyone.
You shouldn't cause despair by helping people. That's what's going on. You should find a better way.
So the police shouldn't exist either then.
Police should exist because they're helping
Do the police
other
ever
people.
cause despair while doing the right thing?
If you define
That's it. You're
despair by
finished. You're finished. Absolutely finished. Cooked. Okay, we have the biggest troll in the chat coming on next. This is going to be very testing for my faith in humanity, but bear with me. Hello.
Hey, James. Thanks for letting me up. I want to talk to you about something that I find as like a logical fallacy in your argument is the natural world wanting to force extinction for animals. I just find it completely unethical to just take this like almost like power stance to go into like an isolated part of the world, like the rainforest, for example, and try to completely decimate the environment. Because these animals cannot defend themselves like humans, in conversation like this. And I actually do agree that humans have a structured suffrage, and simply existing in our society creates suffrage. But for the animals, it's natural. You know, they naturally are born and they naturally.
So is suffering better if it's natural?
I think that it's not better or worse. I just think that it's something that
So
exists.
why are you making a point about it then?
Well, my point is that
because you
is
do
that
think
I
it's better
agree.
if it's natural, right?
Yes, no, actually, here's my point. I agree that suffrage it exists, but for humans it's structured, right? Like with war and just
No,
conflict.
you just don't understand the way the world works properly.
Oh no, I think I do. I genuinely think I do. But I here's where I find like a hard time supporting your movement. I actually agree that humans are a parasite and that we just take and take and
So you
take
think
without
animals
any
should
remorse.
suffer? Do you think
I'm
animals?
sorry?
Do you think animals should suffer?
I think that the animal suffrage is natural. So I think that no matter what, it's going to happen.
So when
And
you
that's
said
okay.
earlier that you don't think it's better because it's natural, you were lying.
Why is that?
You just said it's better because it's natural.
No, my point is that it's
You're struggling.
okay because
You're
it's natural.
struggling real
No, I'm
hard
not.
here.
No, I'm not. You're
struggling
interrupting
real
me.
hard
You're
here.
interrupting me.
You're struggling real hard here. You're dodging
Can I make a point?
questions. You're
Can I make a
contradicting
point, or do you want
yourself.
I'm surprised you haven't kicked me yet, James. I'm surprised you haven't kicked me.
Well,
Every
you know,
time someone
you're
starts having a
you're dodging
conversation with you
questions.
and you get uncomfortable.
Yeah, because look, why should I continue a conversation where they're lying, they're contradicting themselves, they're ignoring everything I say? You know, it's obvious, right? And people actually get upset that I kick them out when they're doing that, and it's like, well, I feel really, really bad for you if you think they were doing well. There's something seriously wrong with you as well. Okay, George, hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I just had like a couple questions. I'm not like challenging you on the idea or anything, but I'm just like, how possible do you actually think this is realistically, and like how soon could it be?
Yeah, we have absolute confidence in it, and it could be within the next 10 years potentially. It could happen any day, basically.
Oh yeah, okay. So how is that going to happen though? You're just going to keep growing the movement and stuff like that?
Not only growing the movement, but we're also developing other avenues that could expedite the success of the movement.
Do you really think the movement will grow enough though for it to like actually happen all across the world realistically? Because there's more people that have better lives than those that are totally suffering.
You know, if you were trying to help someone, you know, you wouldn't only do it if there was guarantee of helping them, right? Even if you weren't sure if you could help them, you should still help them.
What do you mean by that though?
I'm saying we should try and do the right thing, even if there's no 100% guarantee that, you know, the movement will be successful in the next 10 years, 100 years, or whatever. We just have to do our best.
What, so you want to dedicate your life to something that's probably not possible?
Well, like I said, we're very confident that it's very possible.
Yeah, but you're not really saying how. You're just saying that you hope.
No, I would say that, yeah, based on our understanding of the world and humanity, I'd say it's very possible and realistic.
Yeah, but how? How's it realistic? Like, what are you planning to do? You want to nuke the world? What's your method, do you think?
Well, no, nukes can't cause extinction.
Yeah, that's true. So how do you go about it getting because I know you want to do animals as well. You want to get rid of them, don't you? Because animals suffer also. So what's your plan for that?
Yeah, so we need to get enough people and then start running the world ethically, basically. So that's the only way that it can actually go down is as an authority, essentially. So yeah, we're very confident that we can make that happen, whether it's through AI or genetic manipulation, or just by continuing to grow the movement.
So you just want enough people to agree for realistically to end everyone and everything, really?
No.
What's the goal then? I don't really understand how you achieve this.
So you don't need everyone to agree. That's never happened for anything in the history of the world. And in fact, usually when a societal change happens or a change of power happens, it's done through a very small minority. So like most movements that changed the world, they had like less than 1% of people active in that, right? Over 90% of people will always be on the fence, always stay at home, always be silent and do nothing.
I mean, yeah, but at a certain point, people just like you're going to have a very small minority compared to people that actually don't want society and the world and life itself to end, compared to those. Like, I mean, I'm obviously not undermining your movement, but I'm saying like it's probably a lot smaller than those, and I think you know that right now, currently at least, a lot more.
Yeah. Well, it could take a long time, but it could also be a lot sooner, right? You know, if our other if the AI or the genetics avenues work out and pay off, then it could happen a lot sooner. And we're also, donating sperm to grow the genetic pool of extinctionists as well. So we've got lots of options, and we're plowing ahead with lots of solutions and researching more solutions as well. And so, we're very confident. And this is also the direction that the world is headed in anyway. As humanity has gotten more advanced, you know, our technology has progressed, and so have our ethics and our morality and our rationality. So it's all trending in the right direction. Every day, the science gets better, makes extinction more possible, and rationality increases every day as well. So we're very confident.
Yeah, sorry, what was that part about donating sperm? How is that going to contribute to completing total extinction?
So, being an extinctionist, it turns out it is actually a genetic thing. So it requires more empathy and rationality. And so by donating sperm, we can have thousands of children. And, 20 years from now, it's possible that some of them will become activists.
What, so you're just betting on genetics pretty much, sort of?
No, I never said that, did I?
Well, I know, yeah, but it's sort of what you're implying, realistically.
No, not really, no.
Just because you're empathetic, you could give birth to a murderer. It doesn't mean anything.
Yes, but we do have different genetics, and by having kids or donating sperm, they will have a higher chance of following in your footsteps.
So it is just a chance then, like you just said, chance. So,
but it's better than no chance.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for your conversation, James. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. And you should study how genetics work, and see that yes, if someone with a heart condition donates their sperm and has thousands of kids, there's going to be a lot of heart conditions out there. Okay, so you should absolutely educate yourself on that. Okay, Braden, philosopher, coming up next. Braden.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Right, so it says debate me. So what I'm wondering, right, I'll just run you through like a hypothetical. So you think all suffering, like simplicator, is bad, right? Like all types of suffering?
Basically.
Okay, cool. So any suffering is bad, right? And you would say that doing a bad action is immoral, right? You'd say doing a bad action, right?
Probably.
Right?
Probably.
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean by probably?
Well, you're generalizing here, so it's a very wide net.
Well, you said that suffering simplicator is bad, right? So we should not do bad actions. Now,
Braden,
do you think
it sounds like the thing is, right, with autism and stuff like that, you develop like weird, complicated ways of seeing the world and understanding the world, right? And I would say that, potentially philosophers and people that are obsessed with philosophy do have autism. Because in the same way that people get obsessed with trains and, they're watching the trains go by, people do the same thing with logic and philosophy. They make a whole weird obsession out of it, basically. But ultimately, it does nothing. It's just a waste of time. It's an exercise in futility. Okay, we've got a few people to potentially mute in the stream or even block. I've already had to ban a couple people from ever joining the stream ever again. And we also have no moderators in the chat. So we need people to volunteer, but not Braden. In fact, Braden's going to get muted for that. Hello, how you doing?
Yo, hello, James. Do you hear me?
Yeah, good, thank you.
What's up? So I've talked to your German counterpart guy just a few days ago in a stream, and I don't quite understand y'all's philosophy or reason for extincting life, because every life has a bad part, which is suffering, and every life has good parts, and I think
the good parts of life always overshine the bad parts, you know? So
Wow, really? So you don't think anyone's ever had a bad life?
of course I think there's
You
people
just said that
bad life.
the good always outshines the bad.
Yeah, because there is people that have a good life and they are lucky and they're supposed to be able to live their good life.
So we should ignore the sufferers.
Yes, we should.
So
We should
so
work
we should
against
just
the
allow
suffering.
we should allow infinite suffering.
You should work against suffering, but not extinct all life just because you.
So we should work against suffering, but not that much.
No, you can work against suffering while not extincting everything.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
You can work in medical stuff, evolve the medicine, evolve all kinds of mental health helps.
And what are you doing to achieve this?
Science.
Specifically, what?
You can research.
No, what are you doing to do this?
Look
What are
at
you
how.
doing?
Look at how.
Have you started promagic.com?
What is that?
It's I'm saying you should start a website advocating for magic, right? So that you can create certainty of safety
Yeah,
without.
they're really funny. But like, look at it from this perspective of
How
science.
how can you create certainty of safety without extinction?
You can always look at how we have evolved in the last.
That's not
20
an
years.
answer. That's not an answer.
That is an answer. That is an answer.
Okay, you're finished. You're done. How can you create magic? Oh, we can always do that. Get out of here. Like, what on earth are you talking about? Like, these people are so deluded, so naive, right? It's insane. Hello, how you doing?
I'm alright.
You right?
I don't get why you think that so you think like all life should be abolished.
Yeah.
But like that could stop people from like doing anything. Like if you go to a kid, right, and he says like, you know, I want to be an astronaut, you think, oh, that kid should be gone.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Why?
Because that little kid has got dreams, and you want to end that by like extinction.
Yeah. Get rid of him. Rubbish. Throw him in the bin.
What about, you know, like future achievements that people are going to achieve, like, you know, discover different planets and, you know, stuff like that?
So do you think it's fair for life to exist where some are suffering, you know, screaming for, begging for death, and some are having fun at their expense?
Well, if someone's begging for death, then they could go to somewhere like Switzerland and, well, I forgot what the word is.
So is that always true?
What do you mean?
Is that always the case? That you can always do that?
It's not always the case, but...
So it's not a real solution?
That's fair, but...
Why are you suggesting an inadequate solution?
I'm not... So, hang on, right? You think all human life should be abolished? Again.
Animals, humans, everything.
So... But what is that going to do? That's not going to do any... Like, no one...
You don't think that will do anything?
No.
Wow. You have a very limited understanding of what the world is then, if you don't think that would change the world.
Like, but just because people are living in pain, like, which is fair, if...
How is it fair?
Like, I mean, like, it's, like, fair on your part if people are living and, like, suffering. But that's not a big percentage of the world that are living like that.
So what percentage would it have to be?
I mean, you know, if, like, half the world was living and suffering in pain, then I could understand where you're
So
coming from.
if 49% is screaming and begging for help, we should ignore them.
That's not what I'm saying.
It is.
But, like, so why?
So you're saying
hang on.
we'll just have to keep an eye on if it gets over 50%, right? And we'll be watching, saying, "Oh no, the sufferers are growing. if that reaches 50%, that's really going to be bad for us because we'll have to go extinct. I hope they don't suffer so badly. We're not going to help them, but let's just hope it doesn't go over 50%. That's your strategy.
So, you think you should be like extinct as well?
Okay, thanks for coming on. And yeah, absolutely. We should all go extinct. Okay, next person coming up. It's Erdogan. Erdogan from Turkey. How you doing?
Yo. Yeah, I'm good. You?
Good, thank you.
Okay. I just had one question. If you were to end all life on Earth, wouldn't that just cause more suffering?
No, that would end all suffering.
But in order to end the life, you're making them suffer.
No, euthanasia doesn't really cause that much suffering. A natural death would cause much more suffering.
Okay, so when you say all life, you mean all animals as well, right?
Yeah.
So how would you kill all animals on Earth?
Euthanasia.
So you would grab each animal one by one, euthanize all of them with what?
No, there's ways to do euthanasia without it being like injections. You can use a gas or you can do other things.
Okay. So in a gas, wouldn't that slowly kill them? Wouldn't that cause suffering? Or is it like
no.
a silent?
No, it wouldn't. No.
Okay. I don't know. I just feel like ending all life.
Even if it did cause them suffering, it's still going to be less suffering than billions of years of more suffering.
Okay. I don't know.
The thing is that there is no argument against extinction. There just isn't one. There quite literally is no argument against this.
I mean, I would say that suffering is a part of human life.
Yeah, that's everyone knows that. That's common knowledge. You're not adding anything to the conversation.
Yeah. So why would you want to take that away? I just don't understand.
Because nobody deserves to suffer, right? Why wouldn't you want to Why wouldn't you want to make sure that no child is being abused to death? Isn't that obvious?
Okay, but as I said, some people just live like that. Like there's nothing you can do about it.
Some kids that's just their way of life, being abused to death, is it?
Well, I don't accept it. I don't agree with it.
It sounds like you do. That's just their way of life, right? You're being tortured.
I don't agree with it, but
that's
that's just what happens. I can't do anything about it.
Why not?
Because I don't have power to. And even
Why
if
not?
I did have power
Why
to,
not?
it's just not moral to kill every single person on
It's
on
not
human-
moral to prevent child abuse.
It's not moral to kill every single person on
Why not?
Earth
Why not?
because someone is suffering.
Why not?
Because you're making someone else suffer because another person is suffering.
So suffering is the problem.
No.
So, well, you're saying that we shouldn't do it because it causes suffering. So, is suffering the problem or
No,
not?
what I'm saying is
You're struggling. You're struggling big time here.
No, you're harming other people because
So
someone
harm
else
is the problem.
Sorry?
So harm is a problem.
No, I'm saying what you are saying is you would rather harm every single person. You would kill
Erdogan,
every single
you're
person.
done. You're done. You're finished. There's going to be much more harm and suffering if we don't do extinction. Noah, hello. How you doing?
I'm great. You?
Good, thank you.
My question for you is: have you ever tried any substances? Like, do you use them on regular? You know what I mean?
Why do you ask?
I just think sometimes they can make you happy. Like, it might be temperamental, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, that's great, Noah, but it's not about me. It's about like animals suffering, children being tortured. Drugs.
Animals seem happier than humans, don't they?
No, animals get eaten alive in most cases.
Humans get eaten alive sometimes, but
Okay, Noah, that's it. You're done. You're done. If that's your argument, then you're done. Okay, moving on. Mr. Aaron is coming up next. Hello.
Hi, James.
How's it going?
I think you're very clever in the way that you debate with people because you kind of have an unfalsifiable claim on your end. Because I can see where you're coming from. Your opinion is as long as there's suffering in the world, everyone should die, and there's always going to be suffering in the world. So no matter what someone says to disagree with you, you're always going to have a reply to them. But I think even if miraculously you did manage to end all life in the world, have you ever thought that natural evolution will just take place again and we'll just, after
Yeah,
a certain amount of years,
the most important part is to prevent that.
well, I think if everyone's dead, we're not going to be able to prevent natural evolution from taking place.
That's not true, actually.
How could you prevent that?
Lots of ways. So, for example, like an artificial moon could create a permanent eclipse.
What, you think you could make an artificial moon?
Well, we've got all the time in the world to do it.
Okay, so that, you just like rendered my point that you have an unfalsifiable claim because
It's not that it's unfalsifiable. It's just that
because
it's correct.
It's not correct. I've
can't argue against
an
it.
argument up against you, and you just said, "What if we have
Your
an artificial
argument
moon?"
that for your explanation for why you can't argue against it is that it's unfalsifiable, but actually it's that you don't have an argument against it.
Well, I just gave you one. You said, "What if there's an artificial moon?" Like,
No, I never said that.
That's like you can't just argue.
I never
back
said
saying-
that. I never said what if there's an artificial moon. I didn't say that.
What did you say?
I said, that's one example of how we could prevent evolution coming back, but we can look into finding other ways.
Okay, well, good luck with that, but it's not going to happen.
Aaron, if you can't argue against it, then you should accept that you're wrong, or that you might be wrong, right? You can't completely, fail to even lift a single word against it and then declare victory as well. You can't do both of those things, Aaron. I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. We've got All or Nothing coming up next. Should we delete everyone? Oh, no, it's a reincarnation guy. Forget it. Not worth our time. Might as well go onto a psych ward and start debating them. Okay, next we have Mr. Vegetables. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah. You ever thought that some people enjoy their suffering, like they actually rather suffer?
Well, yeah, even if they do, it doesn't mean that anyone else should have to suffer.
I mean, do you suffer?
Why do you ask?
I ask because put it like this: even if you're suffering, you're still here preaching. You're still here trying to convince everybody. You haven't taken yourself out.
Yeah, yes, because that would be selfish. I'm trying to be selfless and help others.
Yeah, but people want to see leadership by example before they follow. And if they
Okay,
can't see that, they
that's not how
"Yeah,
it works. That's not how it works. You're out of here. You're done. And that's absolutely insane. These crazy people have this idea that if one person unalives themselves, then the entire planet will follow suit. That's really does take a high level of irrationality to say that. A very high level to say that if you unalive yourself, the entire planet will do the same. You really have to be beyond help to have that opinion. Okay, moving on, we've got more people in the queue. And hello.
Yeah, right, it's me again. I just want to...
Right, no, LL, you were kicked out for a reason. So changing your name, don't do it. Okay, Mr. Talk Ticker, hello.
Hello, James. I will try to do this in my best English. I was listening to your conversation here, and I was thinking, when are people in a state of no suffering? So I was thinking,
yeah.
I was thinking people who are in a state of coma, and they come out of the coma, they are always happy to come out of the coma. How would you,
Always. How do you know that?
Well, you can read a lot of cases.
So you think every single person to wake up from a coma has been happy?
Well,
every single time, no exceptions. You're not making a serious argument here. You're starting off with an incorrect, extremely broad generalization. It's not a good start.
Well, would you agree that these people are in a state of no suffering?
No, I'm just going to agree that you're not capable of a proper argument. Okay, who else is in the queue? Let's see. And you don't know. People in comas, maybe they do suffer every now and then. Maybe they have horrible nightmares, or maybe some of them suffer a bit, some of them don't. We shouldn't just generalize and say, everyone that's ever woken up out of a coma was really happy to have woken up. What if they were really depressed and thought, oh, not again? Right? You can't just make those claims. They're just simply inaccurate. Okay, next person coming up. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, James. You all right?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to go back to a topic you discussed earlier, but I think someone started rambling on, so you kicked them, which is fair enough. But just the moon
Thank
thing,
you
I've
for
never
saying
actually.
that. Thank you.
But yeah, fair enough. There was someone that was talking about the moon, which I was interested about because I haven't heard about that before. So, like, what actually is the process of that? What would it do for the planet and total extinction?
So the idea of a permanent eclipse with an artificial moon is just one that, I made up off the top of my head. It's just one example of many of how you could easily prevent evolution from coming back.
Oh, so the guy was right. You kind of do just pull it out your ass whenever you can think of anything.
No, it was just an example of something that makes perfect sense and that most people can understand would be possible.
So AI moon's the way to go. Yeah, that's sound. Anyway, moving on.
No, it doesn't have to be AI, no.
Okay, how is that going to help though? I don't understand. You're kind of just saying words. And
Life requires heat and energy. So if you deny that, then you end up with another planet like any other in the universe with no life on it.
Well, how do you know that though?
Well, science, basically.
Well, yeah, but no one knows. Do they? You're going off hypotheticals, and the guy was right though. You didn't.
No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. We're not saying that we will make a moon or we'll make this or that. The point is that we should, do research and decide on the best way forward.
So you're trying to convince people even though you don't have a full plan?
Yes, anyone that needs the full plan is irrational. It's like saying that to cure cancer, you have to already have the cure. That would be completely irrational.
Okay, I heard you call yourself empathetic earlier, and someone was saying how a little boy with hopes and dreams gets born into the world and then total extinction happens. You would throw him into the bin. That doesn't really sound empathetic, so would you mind elaborating on that?
Yeah, I mean, life is worthless, basically, right? So their safety from suffering is infinitely more valuable than their hopes and dreams.
Yeah, but what is the world without life?
Safety. It's safe.
What are we making? Yeah, but there's no safety for what? There's nothing there.
Safety from suffering. Safety from suffering.
Safety from suffering.
Look, it's obvious that life shouldn't exist in the worst conditions possible. So yeah, life not existing in the worst conditions possible means that life is safe from suffering there. You'd have to be extremely unintelligent to not understand that.
Well, not really, no.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, you're going to kick me off now. You know you're right.
Extremely unintelligent. You're done. Okay, moving on. Yeah, I mean, you would have to have an intellectual disability to understand, to not understand that life would be better off not existing in the worst conditions possible. You would definitely have to have an extreme intellectual disability. And that is the case. Most humans do have an extreme intellectual disability, which is why they're irrational. They don't understand simple concepts. They think that suffering is good for you, that child abuse is good for you. Most people are just completely insane. And so extinctionists are basically the first humans to have evolved full rationality. And I will go to my grave defending that. Hello, how you doing?
Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, people who don't want to live, can't they just take their lives?
No.
Why should you force it upon everybody?
Well, no, they can't just take their lives. And life is forced onto everyone.
Yeah, but there has been laws that allow you to do that.
But laws don't actually achieve perfection.
They kind of do. If you want to die, just die. You don't have to.
So you think that as soon as there's no crime ever? You think that as soon as a law comes down, that's it? It's like God has spoken?
Yeah, but they have their own opinion. They can just kill themselves.
Okay, yeah, okay, you're finished. You're done. That's just a disgusting mentality that we should just allow and create suffering, and if they don't like it, then they have to do self-harm, right? We should force them to suffer so badly that they have to do further self-harm and, risk becoming disabled. That's a beautiful system that you're suggesting, but we're not going to allow it. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, Jamie. I just want to say you have a lot I just wanted to ask if you're an accelerationist of some sort. No? Because you have really similar views. And yeah, I just want to say your idea is really good. I just don't know how you're going to do it by your plan. And because nobody, not even like 1% of the world population will agree with you at one point. So authority is going to be quite hard.
Just to tell people in the chat, if you spam, you will be permanently banned and it will prevent you from ever watching the stream again. But in terms of how we're going to do it, it's very simple. We do it by growing the movement to change the world. That's what every movement has done in history. And yeah, that's the way you do it.
Yeah, but I mean, in order to gain authority and access to political things like organizations, you need someone who agrees with you that will be will be willing to give up his life, and most of them don't
we
want
have
to.
that. We have lots of people like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, then good luck, man. If something big happens, I'm gonna join. Goodbye.
Well, no, if something big happens and you join, then we won't let you join, right? That's for crazy people. We need intelligent people that understand it's the right thing to do and join to let us to help us make it happen. We don't want some big crazy thing to be the reason you join. And really, if it takes something stupid like that for you to join, then we absolutely do not want you to join the movement. The movement is for intelligent people, rational people who understand that we can change the world in an intelligent way. Can I join your movement? Yes, everyone can join by going on the Discord. The link to the Discord is on my profile, or you can Google search Abolish Suffering Discord. Can anyone be an extinctionist? Now, that's a good question, actually. So, mostly only... So, can anyone be an extinctionist? That's actually a really good question. So I would say that anyone can be an extinctionist if they aren't controlled by their natural programming. So nature will program you to love life, to not care about suffering, to think that the life should continue no matter what, no matter who gets hurt. So some people are born with less of that in their brain. But some people want extinction out of anger and hatred. We don't want that, right? That goes completely against what we're doing. That, extinctionism has to come from a place of empathy and compassion and responsibility and ethics, right? It's for people that truly want to make the world perfect and to do the right thing. And yes, it's for people who are willing to give up their lives without hesitation, to die for the cause without hesitation, because, if you're not willing to give up your life, then you are putting a limit on how much moral obligation you're willing to accept. In the same way that you would allow, 1,000 people to be tortured so that you didn't have to die, right? That's obviously being selfish, right? So yes, there are causes and things that do, essentially give you so much moral obligation that you should be willing to give up your life. But right now, humans are basically allergic to moral obligation, right? They're afraid of it. It hurts them, basically. Who does all your Vorsorg, James? I don't know what you mean by Valsorg or Vorsorg. If you mean the background, housework. Well, I do a lot of the housework myself, but my girlfriend cooks. Well, I mean, I actually live with my father at his house, and we have a cleaner, a gardener, and stuff like that. So a lot of the housework is done for me. I do my own cleaning and washing and cooking. Does that answer your question? James, you can't succeed. We both know this. Well, you never know. But just to finish off that question about who can be an extinctionist, because that was a really good question. I would say that, yeah, it's really just rational and empathetic people that are going to end up being an extinctionist. And in terms of joining our movement, our organization, we do require people to be rational. So if you're religious, if you believe in religion, you're most likely not going to be allowed in the movement. If you're saying crazy things on the application, you won't be allowed in. James, do you think there's a way to cause extinction without creating more people? Maybe robots. That's another really good question. So absolutely yes. However, the reason the main reason we're against antinatalism is that there is no robots that can replace us. So, if a year from now, amazing robots come out and as far as we can tell, that they're definitely capable of replacing us, and there's no downside to it, then yeah, we would be able to say, right, that's it, no more kids. Antinatalism is now in effect, and it will be illegal to have kids, etc. And if we can just do that with robots, then we'll do it. However, we do support humanity continuing until we're 100% sure that there's definitely no downside or risk for humanity going extinct and not having kids. You're welcome. And let's see who else we got. So checking out the queue, we've got Christoph. Let's try and bring them up. Who else have we got? We've got Liam Lev. So I'm only going to be streaming for a short time more, but let's keep going. Pure is asking, is this legal? And the answer is yes, it is legal. And the reason for that is that for it to be illegal, it would have to pose an imminent and realistic threat, which in the eyes of the law, technically it doesn't. Liam Lev, hello, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Do you have any questions for us?
Wait, give me a sec. Nigger. Shut the fuck up, nigger. You're so stupid. Why would anyone want to do that?
Man, right? How do we ban these people? Right. The thing is, when I kick someone out of the stream, it's like they're gone. That's it. They've just vanished essentially. So, maybe I should ban them. I've got you, Liam. I found you in the viewer list, and you will never see this stream ever again, because once you've been blocked, you just can't see it. Like, you're done. You're finished. So goodbye, Liam. Okay, moving on. So yeah, let's see. Is there anyone else in the queue? Let's bring up our good friend Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood. How you doing?
Hello,
Is it your lucky day?
Hello.
Do you feel lucky?
Not so much personally, and I wanted to ask maybe a personal question. First of all, I want to say thank you for doing this. I think this is the only right cause there is, and you are very smart and you know how to do this. So my question is, giving all your knowledge about the world and your perspective, did you ever felt like you are, getting insane from all of this? How do you personally, how to ask it, keep your sanity in this world, maybe?
That's a great question. So yeah, it will challenge the humanity, basically, right? So, you have the society and the demands of the society. You have your own personal needs as well. And when someone, around you says, oh, I'm having a baby, or something they say something pro-life, right? It makes it hard, right, to engage in a normal way, right, a normal way. And it puts a lot of strain, a lot of stress on your personal life. I think in terms of my mentality, yeah, I'm pretty strong, but everyone is different, so you have to look after yourself, definitely. And I would say, I would say that you probably should put yourself first if you're doing extinction activism, because it's we don't want you to go crazy and to die in a year, right? We would rather have an activist for life who is stable and healthy and who can help for the entirety of their life in a stable and happy-ish way, right? So you do have to balance it. It's a difficult balance. And in some ways, yes, the more you learn about extinction, the harder it is to adapt with society or to fit in. And yeah, you might find yourself acting and pretending and agreeing with things to people in front of you that you don't really agree with. So it's difficult, to go against the world, basically. But for those who feel the empathy and the moral obligation, we're willing to do it anyway. So it's more that we're going to suffer because of our empathy and trying to help others, but we're going to do it anyway, and it's going to be at our own expense, unfortunately for us, probably. But here's the thing. I do firmly believe that we are at the most difficult stage for extinctionism right now. Well, okay, a year or two ago, 3 years, when the movement started, that was even more difficult. But right now we have, massive opposition from the world. We have a small amount of support. So it's difficult to believe in it. And, there's not many people cheering you on or saying, yes, you are doing the right thing, keep going. So yeah, it's difficult right now, but I think it will get easier as the community grows, as the movement grows, and we start to change things. And one idea that we've got is to create a place where all of the activists can live together for free, and they can do activism, they can be with people that understand each other, and potentially they can even work together. My idea for the business to make all of this financially work would be for everyone to be doing video editing and online services like that. There's a lot of demand for video editing, right? Anyone can earn money doing video editing. There's loads of people begging to pay for it. So we could do that, and we would grow our video making skills at the same time, which would benefit our activism. So potentially we could do this in India, where the movement started, and we have dozens of Indian activists in the movement, and it started in India. So India is a very cheap place to live, and yeah, we could potentially get a farm or some sort of land that we can all live on together, and it would probably make life a bit easier for us.
That sounds like another good idea. Anyway, so I want to thank you for answering my question.
Thank you, Clint. Thank you for coming up. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Look, when my girlfriend was watching the stream the other day and I mentioned the compound in India, she freaked out like, oh my God, you're leaving me to go to India? What the hell? But this is just an idea at the minute. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Look, if someone approached me today and said, look, I'll pay for this compound in India, I'll put the $20,000 towards it, I'll make it happen, then we would do it. We would immediately start to make it happen. Yes, Steve did start the movement, but that's not an option at the minute, so it's just kind of an idea for now. If anyone wants to drop 20 grand on us, then maybe we can make it happen. Well, Jeremy's saying, is it only 20K? I don't know. That's just a guess, right? But obviously buying land in India is very cheap. Steve from India is indeed the person that created the movement. Someone saying, how do I join? You should join through my profile on TikTok. Click on my profile and there's a link, and you can see the link to the website, the link to the Discord. Join the Discord, become an activist, start making videos with us, educate people that life should never exist in uncertainty of safety, in unsafe conditions, because without certainty of safety, there will always be unlucky ones who suffer terribly. And even if there isn't, there's always the risk of it, right? There's always the potential. So even if we have a happy world where everyone is happy, we should still go extinct, because there's still unlimited danger, unlimited risk of suffering when you don't have certainty of safety. Obviously, without certainty of safety, the opposite is unlimited danger. And yeah, the world is too vast, there's too much going on here to really provide certainty of safety without effectively omniscience, right? To have, to be able to see everything like a god, basically. Okay, let's see who else we got. Someone saying, can I come on? Yes, you can, come on.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You?
Yeah, sounds like you've got audio issues. So we're going to bring on Isaac next. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Living the dream, man.
Sweet.
Yeah, so in response to the prompt, just to make sure I have it correct, you want to forcefully end all life on Earth because you want to end suffering completely.
Yeah.
And what's the argument for why we should end suffering completely?
Well, suffering's unfair, right? So unless
According
you
to
have
who?
Sorry?
According to who? Who's measuring that?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it, right? If someone is being tortured and they didn't ask for that, that's obviously unfair.
Well, it would be unfair to you, right?
No, it'd be unfair to them.
It would be unfair to them, right? But you're deciding that it's unfair.
Well, you just agreed it's unfair, so there you go.
I think torture is unfair, right? But we're talking about all suffering in general. So I'm asking you what the argument is for why we should end all suffering.
Because if you don't do that, then you have infinite suffering and infinite potential of suffering. So that's saying that we should allow unlimited suffering, but for what, right? For what? And the only justification would be pleasure, which is optional, it's unnecessary, it's worthless in comparison to safety from suffering.
Well, yeah, what I'm asking you is why should we end suffering altogether?
Because again, it's the only right thing to do. It's the only fair thing, right? Only selfish people want there to still be suffering in the world.
Well, you say it's the only right thing to do, but it's the right thing to do according to you. So you're actually being selfish and asserting that we should end human life.
So you think it's selfish to say that nobody deserves to suffer?
I think it's selfish to say that we should end human life.
I never said with that. Like, we should end all life, right? Animals, humans, everything.
Yeah, well, that would include human life, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I think that it's a selfish thing that you're saying that we should, like we ought to end human life.
Why?
For the same reason you think I'm selfish for saying we shouldn't, because I have a preference against it.
By that logic, nothing can ever be correct. And so, we'll just...
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's an appeal to futility, to doing nothing. That's an appeal to insanity, right? That's like saying that guy is probably a sovereign citizen, right? The police will say, you can't stab that person, I'm arresting you. And he'd say, well, you can't prove that it's bad that I stabbed them, right? It's not a realistic way to run the world, to run your life, to say that, we can never be sure of anything, so we should never do anything. That's just insanity, basically. Oifi is saying, James, you lost that by far. Well, why don't you come and say that to my face? Maybe because you know that you can't, and that you will lose. All right. We're going to do maybe one more person, and then I'm going to go. So let's see who we've got. Ms.
Yeah,
Hidden.
sorry. My thing wasn't working, sorry, after. So,
Right.
do you believe that the world should just be a happy place, no bad, no nothing?
No, we believe there should be no life, no possibility of life, so that there's no possibility of suffering ever again.
So, obviously, like, when it comes to, ending every single life, by that argument alone, it assumes that obviously suffering is the only thing that matters. But obviously, if you think that only suffering matters, then happiness, love, friendships, achievements, curiosity.
So you're more
and
on
all
this
of that-
side? You're more on this side.
Uh, I would say I'm kind of in the middle. Like I slightly understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I don't fully agree with it. If you understand what I'm trying to say, because obviously, for a society to function, there has to be some type of suffering. Not saying that it's good, but obviously, okay. I'm not sure, man. Like I'm just in the middle.
Which side do you want to be on? This side or this side?
It's a very tricky situation because obviously suffering is horrible. I wouldn't wish anyone to suffer, but suffering is part of development. If we don't have suffering, we're not gonna learn from obviously. Oh my god. Well, okay. I want your points on why you think suffering is bad.
Because it's obvious, right? You know, so a sadist torturing an animal, that's obviously a bad thing.
Oh yeah, that's horrible. But there has to be different types of suffering.
There's lots of different horrible types of suffering, yeah.
But there's so much good type of suffering
Like
that
what?
we manage to put attention to. Okay,
So we
for
should
example,
ignore the bad suffering, just allow it, let it happen?
No. Obviously, we have if I'm assuming you're from the UK, and obviously we have this crisis of lots of houses, but a lot of homeless people, which is obviously suffering for the homeless people, and obviously, if we like, that's a very tackleable problem. Like if we manage to fix that, then it's no longer suffering because we've learned that some people are actually finding it troubling and they're suffering from homelessness.
Look, the problem is that without certainty of safety, there will always be unlucky ones, and that's not fair.
Well, okay, for some people manage to put themselves in situations where suffering is it's going to happen, but I believe if certain people manage to
Do you not think we should prioritize making sure that nobody is begging for death and wishing they hadn't been born?
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, because we have to have regard for human life.
That's it. That's the most important thing is helping those who need help the most.
Yeah, but that alone disregards every single thing, like happiness, achievements.
It's more important. It's more important.
So you would rather die feeling, unwanted and like a problem than die being happy knowing you achieved something. Because a lot of people are born, without nothing, and they end up making something out of nothing. And there are people made, that are born with something that end up.
So let me ask you this: Do you think it's okay if some children are being abused to death as long as some get to be happy?
No. I completely.
So that's it. That's what this conversation is basically.
Well, like, okay, I feel like with this whole argument, I'm just in the middle. Like, I have no for and against for each of them, but I completely understand why you might think that suffering, is good. But what do you think the general public, like, if I was to bring to you 100,000 people right in front of you, like, what do you think the ratio would be based off the society we have right now?
How many people would become an activist? I would say out of 100,000 people, maybe like 10? Five, maybe less. Maybe one.
Yeah, let me ask you: if you were to become president, like tomorrow morning, what are the first couple policies that you'll be putting in place, and what are you gonna do to change the idea of suffering?
We would start doing animal extinction and universal extinction immediately. So we would prioritize the end of suffering.
So you would do a universal extinction.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the idea of a higher being, God or something like that?
No.
So you're an atheist. Interesting. Okay, so that's I'm quite speechless because the idea is very. I don't want to say insane to disrespect your view.
Making sure that nobody is forced into a life of pure hell is the only thing that matters, right? It absolutely eclipses everything else.
But with that one, it's more of a option that people decide to make.
No. Nobody chooses to be born, and babies are not making. Hey?
So obviously, okay. Some people with this, where I go with life. If I was to get married, and I know that I'm not going to be able to provide for all my children, be able to provide for my family in case I do have a big family, I'm not going to have children if I know I'm not going to, I'm not gonna have a very good income to be able to support them. So that then becomes the parents' fault. If the parent can't support and they decide to have children anyways, that's their own problem. Then you can make your own policy.
Mez, we know all that. You're not adding anything new to the conversation here.
Oh, it was great debating you, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you, Mez. To be fair, most of the debate was pretty decent compared to some of the people we've had on here. So, no hate there. Join the conversation, though, on Discord, right? There's dozens of activists on the Discord. There's dozens of supporters who don't do that much activism. But yeah, there's loads of people on the Discord. So come and join the conversation there. Ask your questions, right? Ask your questions, post your ideas, your suggestions, your advice, whatever it is. You can find the link to the Discord on my TikTok bio, on my profile, or you can Google search Abolish Suffering Discord. And the link to the Discord is also on the website, proextinction.com. The website also has our manifesto and our FAQ. All right. Yeah, I should really go now, guys. So thank you for joining us, everyone. If you didn't get to come up and you wanted to, then send me a message on TikTok or just join on next time. I'll probably will I be streaming tomorrow? I might be streaming tomorrow a little bit, but it's this weekend, probably not that much. But next week, yeah, we'll be back on it. At least, and I'll try and stream over the weekend as well if I can. Might be able to get an hour or two in tomorrow, maybe. So yeah, dinner time is calling. My girlfriend is, getting impatient. So join. Look, if you really wanted to have a conversation and a debate, you can do that on the Discord, right? We debate on the Discord all the time with people, so join us there. And thank you, Cora, and I hope I've tried to make it more, interesting for people, more entertaining. I'm loving my new background, by the way. I think it's great. Someone did suggest in the Discord that we should make this more religious, like God said suffering is good, or but the Bible says suffering is good. That could work. So if you have ideas for my background, let me know. Or send me pictures with new ideas for the background as well. It's very easy to make them in ChatGPT. You just tell it to do a mobile aspect ratio, like a mobile-sized, image. And then, give us your ideas, send us your pictures or your ideas. Yes, you can message me on TikTok. I reply to all of my messages. But I would rather you message on the Discord where everyone can answer your question together. And I'll be on the Discord as well. And yeah, it's a great background, isn't it, right? Which side do you want to be on? That one or this one, right? My thinking for this background was that everyone's going to understand what the stream is about as soon as they join. But we could even make it even funnier, potentially. So why not? Anyway, thank you, everyone. Join us on Discord and the WhatsApp group. And